This is what really felt like a campaign speech in a lot of ways from the president.
Yeah, at times, Anna, and President Trump's first year of second term really summed up in about 20 minutes with his laser focus on issues here at home, specifically the economy. The president claiming prices are falling and wages are rising for Americans.
Good evening, America.
In a rare primetime address from the White House, President Trump touted his administration's actions in the last year, covering a range of issues, including immigration, crime, and the economy.
After 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation has stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected, and our country is back.
His economic agenda was a major focus. Another, former President Joe Biden. President Trump laying the blame on the previous administration for the state of the economy.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country.
President Trump also addressed health care, including efforts in the near year to reduce drug costs, and blamed Democrats for the ongoing fight in Congress, as millions of Americans are expected to face increased premiums in the new year if Obamacare subsidies expire on December 31st.
It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care at a much lower price.
The president also making an unexpected promise to military service members, what he calls a warrior dividend.
In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way.
With the midterm election cycle in full view, the year-end address comes at a crucial time for President Trump, who faces lagging popularity as Americans deal with economic concerns. And while much of the president's speech focused on blaming the previous administration, new polling shows Americans largely disagree. 57% of voters blame President Trump for the state of the economy, compared to just 34% who blame former President Joe Biden. And while Republicans are applauding the speech, congressional Democrats are saying President Trump and his policies are responsible for rising costs.
The truth is, for too many Americans, costs are just too damn high. The cost of living, the affordability crisis, you can call it whatever you want. But in Trump's America, people are being squeezed in every direction.
No mention of Venezuela at all in President Trump's address last night. A White House official tells News Nation this speech was very much focused on those bread and butter issues on the home front instead of those issues abroad.
Bring our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl, for more on this. And John, starting out with the speech last night, this is not the...
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
Today's Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
In my campaign for president, I pledged to give America the most spectacular birthday party the world has ever seen for America's 250th anniversary on July 4th next year. Already we've had big celebrations to commemorate the 250th birthdays of the Army, the Navy, and the United States Marines, but there is much, much more to come. We're going to have a good time. As we ring in 2026, Americans across the nation will see the iconic Washington Monument illuminated with festive birthday lights to honor the start of this historic anniversary year. Then from June 25th to July 10th of next year, we will host the Great American State Fair on the National Mall, featuring pavilions from all 50 states, highlighting breathtaking innovations and celebrating America's exceptional history and culture. Frankly, you'll never see anything like it, and you'll never see anything like it again. In the fall, we will host the first ever Patriot Games, an unprecedented 4-day athletic event featuring the greatest high school athletes, one young man and one young woman from each state and territory. But I promise there will be no men playing in women's sports. You're not going to see that. You'll see everything but that. As I first announced in 2020, we will build the National Garden of American Heroes featuring statues of all-time greatest Americans, and we will build a triumphal arc as we celebrate 250 years of American freedom. We are the only major city. We are the only major capital. We are the only major place without a triumphal arc, a beautiful triumphal arc, one like in Paris where they have the beautiful arc in Paris. They call it the Arc de Triomphe. And we're going to have one in Washington, D.C. very soon. Construction will start in the very near future. And next spring, we will host a major prayer event on the National Mall to rededicate our country as one nation under God. We're not changing that. There are a lot of people who would like to see it. It'll never happen. And on Flag Day, we will have a one-of-a-kind UFC event here at the White House. It'll be the greatest champion fighters in the world, all fighting that same night. The great Dana White is hosting, and it's going to be something special. But all of this is just the beginning. 2026 will be a celebration of America like no other, honoring our nation in all of its glory. To help carry out these exciting plans, we have created a new public-private partnership. It's called Freedom 250. Working with states, companies, and organizations across the country, we will renew the patriotism, pride, and pioneering spirit of America and lay the groundwork for the next 250 years of independence and freedom. This will be a time like you've never had in your lives. America 250. Thank you. I love you all.
Well, welcome to the Thursday edition. Obviously, President Trump, that probably was pre-recorded, but they're not sleeping. They're not just standing still. They're going to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. With everything he just outlined there, 2026 is indeed going to be terrific. It's going to be fantastic. He's going to build a Arc de Triomphe in Washington. If you've never been to Paris and never seen it, you know, these arcs, these huge monolithic looking things are just something that is historic. We don't have one here. I think you could say there's one in New York. There's a little park that has one. But that would be awesome to see a giant, you know, almost cathedral looking Arc de Triomphe in D.C. What you can tell is happening is he's going to cement his legacy. He's building the ballroom. He's going to build the ark. He's going to do all these things. He's going to put the statues in the White House area. All of these things are going to happen that it would be just beyond the pale for some Democrat president down the road to say, let's tear all this down just out of spite. I don't put it past them whatsoever, but they may indeed try it. So before I get too much further in the show, I understand that Howard Lutnick is getting ready to come on television. And if Howard Lutnick has something to say, I'm going to listen because I love tariffs. We're all going to be rich. I just love the way he talks and his entire demeanor. But before we go there, I wanted you to see how they described all the things that President Trump is going to be doing as a part of the 250 Fest. As a part of the 250 Fest. Hold on. Where is it? Well, I thought I had it. I guess I don't have it queued up. Where would that be? I had it ready. Hold on one second. Let me bring this in because I know I had it. 1 second. Where is it? And if I don't have it, then I will just, oh no, here it is. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. 1 second.
Which is Flag Day and also
Trump's
the president's birthday.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible. We're going to have the Patriot Games for high school athletes across the entire nation. We're going to have a national prayer event on the Mall to return this country back to God, because we can't do any of this without him.
So, Monica,
and then, of course, it's going to culminate on July 4th with a spectacular national celebration.
you have to tell us, because we know the president doesn't like to sleep. That's not what he does. But he also loves to produce. So how is it getting a phone call from him about every little detail about celebrating America?
Well, he is probably the most precise, detail-oriented president we have ever had.
So I wanted to talk about this. Let me get into it real quick. Notice that she also echoed the thing about prayer and how to really make things prayer-oriented. When he did his speech last night, one of the things that he did that has caused a visceral reaction from the Democrats, which most of us probably expected. But there's a reason why the Democrats are reacting the way they're reacting. And that is simply, as far as I am concerned, is that it attacks their religion. We're not in a political battle anymore. This isn't about Democrat, Republican. It's long ago that's been over. This is a spiritual battle. Now, these people, for the most part on that side, don't have any spirit. They're completely devoid of purpose. They're completely devoid of inner peace. They don't have a God that they really want to worship, except the God that they are now propping up, which is basically everything that's America does is bad. There will never be something Trump does that they approve of, because everything he's trying to do is try to make America great, try to make America better, try to celebrate America, try to make America that shining light on the hill. Everything he's doing is to make America great again. And if you don't want to use the moniker of MAGA, just make America better. Get us back to being a powerhouse, something that people respect. Well, if your entire religion is based upon not respecting America, if your entire mental capacity is America is bad, if your entire mental capacity is that everything about America is too white, too prosperous, too aggressive towards the world, then anything that somebody is going to be doing to advance those ideologies is against your inner soul. Whatever soul they may have, they hate it. And so expect them to react that way. Expect them to just completely freak out. I got a whole bunch of stuff to show you, and I'm going to wait until after Howard speaks because I got to hear what he has to say. But one thing I'm sure of last night is President Trump somehow, winky, winky, somehow knew what was coming today. I didn't know if somebody leaked him the reports. I don't know if somehow, they had a meeting and they shared the information, but you can't find it coincidental that he hammered home about the economy last night. And then immediately thereafter, this morning, the economy, boom. Everything, boom, about the economy. It was incredible watching what was going on today, which is why they're going to bring Howard Lutnick on in a second. But it's incredible that that's what occurred. And I'm going to give you my feelings about last night, not including Venezuela and everything like that. I don't know if there was an actual psyop being done. I think there was something else being done, which I'm going to show you. And I think Howard's up right now. No, he's not up yet. So I'm going to show you that. But I wanted you to just put yourself in the perspective of knowing, and I love what you guys are saying in the poll, that this is not, and it hasn't been Democrat, Republican for some time. Our enemy is no longer about doing something different politically. They don't want you to have prosperity. They don't want America to be a strong country, and it's their religion. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further at this point. Might piss some people off. I almost equate what the Democrats are doing, and one of the reasons why they are embracing these people from other countries is because they like what these other people are doing. They want these people, except for when they come here and steal, but they want people who want to destroy America. I don't know if the plan was made where they actually thought it out, that let's bring in all these people from other countries who may listen to that, how can I say, that tolerant religion, the tolerance of intolerance, who want people subjugated, either do what we say or we're going to take you out, that kind of religion. Because that's the religion they actually believe in. And I think they said to themselves, you know what? What if we brought in people who want to help us get there? What if we want to bring in people, not just anybody, but the people who despise America, the people who believe America is the great Satan? You know, you've heard that, haven't you? These people believe America is the great Satan. They believe we're all infidels. It doesn't matter how good of a country we are. It doesn't matter that we all salute the flag. In fact, it makes it worse. The fact that they've done everything about our core beliefs. This is where you can tell it's not political, but ideological, a religion. Let's take the Pledge of Allegiance away. Let's not pray in schools. We should have seen it coming decades ago. What do you mean you're going to take the Pledge of Allegiance out of school? What do you mean you can't pray on a football field? And it started. And if you look at some of the things that they do in these other countries, the Democrat Party has become what these other people do. And then basically inseminating our society with the alternative lifestyle. And I remember years ago telling people, if you do this, it's becoming a gateway. They're going to take the next step, and then they're going to like, oh, you can't do that to us. That's our civil rights or something. And then they're going to give you a little bit more rope. Oh, you can't do it. No turning back there. And then, of course, you know about the, baby removal. Oh, it's sacrosanct. And now as these things are starting to get peeled back, they're freaking out. And so the whole thing about the alternative lifestyle and two people becoming married, that became a sacrament as well. We can't go there, even though it's not something that we really want to see happen. They made sure they rammed it down our throat. Yesterday I was talking about, Ayanna Presley was talking about how President Trump is only pardoning white people because 85% of the people pardoned were white, even though 85% of American public is white. So that the proportion was still there, but somehow it was wrong. Do you know what the proportion of the alternative lifestyle is? What percent of Americans do that? And then let's say it's this big. And then I want you to say, what percentage of these people now are becoming transformers? And it's going to shrink down even further. But you wouldn't know that watching television. You would think that it's proliferate. It's everywhere. It's just part of our culture when it still is this big. It still is this many people in our country. So how could something that's so small become so important? It became important because they realized, hey, you're telling me the white people and conservatives don't like this? Then let's promote it some more. And what they didn't count on was that a lot of black people and Hispanics don't like it either. But nonetheless, it became a push. Why are we looking at pushing something so big to just, 2% of the people? And if you've seen graphs where it's like, how many people are, and in 2022, boom, boom. So obviously, just by the sheer numbers, it's not real. It's an illusion. It is a campaign to take people's minds. And if you put all of this stuff together and combine it, then you realize you'll sit back and look back and say, this isn't about Trump. The problem they were this close to destroying America, and he's trying to inject pride, the different kind of pride, back into America. And so everything he's talking about doing, the 250 event, that was my weave coming back to it. Everything he's talking about doing with the 250 event is like kryptonite to them. They don't want to hear it. How can you possibly be celebrating America? If there was ever a man that would be elected to do so, he was born on Flag Day. Think about that. Sometimes I sit back and go, this man was born on Flag Day. He was meant to carry the banner. He was meant to carry the flag into battle for each and every one of us. And now he's doing it, and he could have came out there and spewed the alphabet last night. It wouldn't have mattered if he said, we're going to make America great again by teaching everybody how to do the alphabet and how to speak it. Oh my God, I can't believe he wants people to do the alphabet. If he had come out and said, we're going to show kids how to write in cursive. Oh my God. No, it's not about politics anymore. It is purely about destroying America. Now, the problem that's really, getting bigger is that people have been making money because people click on things on their phone. Every time you take this device and you're sitting here and you're clicking and you're watching and everything else, thank you, because you guys are watching right now. Every time you do that, there's a good chance that the person doing it is making money. Remember how they all complained about Elon Musk and Twitter? Oh, and people would make memes. Oh, you got the blue check. You paid for Twitter. Notice you never see that anymore. Notice you never see that meme. In fact, some of the people who used to post it now have blue checks. And they have those blue checks because they know they can say the craziest thing and people will click on it and they will share it and then they get paid. Right now, the monetization on Twitter isn't that much, but people who weren't making anything, if they make an extra $100 or $200 a week while saying Elon sucks, the paradox of that is insane. Elon sucks, billionaires suck. Let me just go ahead and do this with my blue check so I can make some money. It's absolutely crazy. And what that tells you is these people will sell their souls, and many of them probably already have, because when you do something and you profit off of it, even though you say it's bad, it means you're a hypocrite or worse. We have to realize right now that there are people on the right who could give two craps what you think, who could give two craps what President Trump is trying to do. They will do anything, even intentionally, to smear people so that you click, you spread it, they make money. Right now with Dan Bongino leaving the FBI, I had posted something today, and I'm really wanted to let you guys know where I stood, because people kept emailing me, and it's like, I don't care. I've never been in the Bongino army. Doesn't matter to me. You see, what people don't understand, and this is specifically what I wrote, even when people were screaming about it, I was trying to explain something, is whatever he did or didn't do, whatever his performance level was as an FBI deputy director, it doesn't matter because he's built up cachet. He's built up affinity. That's why so many of these people who are on the left or in the mainstream media who try to come up with podcasts fail because they don't understand it's about building affinity. They don't understand that the star of the show is not them. The star of the show is the audience. The star of the show are you guys. It's not me. I'm just here because you allow me to talk to you. Whereas the people in the mainstream media, they look down on things as though, hey, I'm going to grace these people with my presence, and they better watch. That's not it. And so when Dan Bongino is coming back to his show, and people are like, how could he? He failed. He was a hypocrite, and blah blah blah. It's not about that. It's about building an affinity. It's about building a rapport, a relationship. Now my weave's going to come all the way back here, because that's what Donald Trump does. And I looked at the poll, and like 90% of you said that the speech last night was 9 or above, which is going to be completely contrary to if you ask somebody on the left, because Donald Trump has built credibility with you. He has built an affinity. He has built something that goes and transcends beyond merely getting on stage and being a president. We feel for him. We felt on July 13th. We feel when we see what has happened to him and how they treated him. I knew when the trials and stuff were going on, I was telling Robin, they're making a big mistake. And then they're televising it, trying to, embarrass him. And I was telling him he just won the election. People were trying to hey, man, this guy took a bullet, and now they're railroading him in court, and they're televising it every day with him sitting like this every single day. And he just looked. And then after every court hearing, he would come out and talk to you. He was talking to us. And I knew they made a mistake then, just as I believe they made a mistake now. You say they don't understand affinity because that's not who they're about. They're about conquering. They're about taking your will out of your heart. And unfortunately, there's too many people on the right who are now acting that way. And they're going to keep acting that way because it's become profitable to do so. But they understand when push comes to shove, they have to embrace President Trump. There's no other way around it. He is the guy that's going to help this country. And I think last night he cemented something by letting everybody know what was coming. And then the very next day it happened.
Is Trump going to start a war in Venezuela?
I don't know. I don't know when this program airs, the one that we're on right now. I think this may be live.
We're live now, and then it'll be posted immediately. So now,
my sense is, I don't know the answer. I've certainly been on the phone a lot about it. I have no power. I'm a podcaster, but I'm very interested. And so here's what I know so far, which is that members of Congress were briefed yesterday that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nation tonight at 9:00 by the president. Who knows, by the way, if that will actually happen? I don't know. And I never want to overstate what I know, which is pretty limited in general.
So obviously he didn't mention anything about Venezuela last night. Nothing about Venezuela ever even came up other than the drugs and stuff that he wants to stop. And so today you have to wonder if you even care, because there was so much talk about Venezuela. People were even telling me it was about Venezuela, that they heard from somebody who heard from somebody. And so you have to wonder all the way back down, who was it that they were trying to sniff out? I don't think it was Tucker. I think somebody told Tucker something, like somebody told me something. I don't think Tucker was the bad guy there making something up. Somebody told Tucker something, and the White House probably at this point knows who told that story to other people. And that person, I think all of this is surrounding, sorry about that, the Susie Wiles stuff as well. Who's putting all this stuff out? They're going to find out. They are definitely going to find out. So with that being said, especially while these guys are out there doing what they're doing, I'm going to start on the speech reaction from last night. I want you to hear, I've broken it down into like 15 or 16 different cuts. And if Howard Lutnick, or when Howard Lutnick comes on, we'll jump. But I want you to hear each one of these specific cuts, and we'll talk about them.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people.
All right, so that right there, we're going to stop a lot. They have a problem with that. Now, you have to realize President Trump gave this speech. Somebody wrote this speech. And by writing the speech, he knew, or whoever wrote it knew, that everything he does gets scrutinized. He knows that every single word, every single stat, every single reference that he says is going to be scrutinized. So it would be foolish for him to go out there and say stuff that's not true. Now, if I know that, and you know that, then the Democrat media knows that. But yet, after this entire speech was done, all they did was lie, twist words, obfuscate, when they know what he said was absolutely true. They were blaming him for using the Venezuela incident to get people to cover this speech, because everyone wanted to hear what was going to go on in Venezuela. So they think there was some grand scheme to get people to turn on the camera to hear what he had to say. And then when you realize what they're really meaning when they say that, because I televise every single thing he does, whether it's a dinner, whether it's a Hanukkah celebration, you, me, all, Trump supporters find his message. There's nobody here who didn't probably either see this speech last night live or have watched it as soon as they had a chance. His message resonates with us. So the fear and the anger that they have is because their audience got to hear it. They didn't care if he was on some podcast or whatever. We're not even going to cover it. The problem is they thought it was going to be Venezuela. They have the cameras running. And the reason why I personally think Trump seemed rushed is that he knew the lights would go off. He knew they would turn it off. So he wanted to let whoever was watching from the other side hear all this stuff. And it worked. Whether that was the plan or not, it absolutely worked because they were forced to cover it as long as they could. And their audiences, like I was telling you about audiences before, they just heard and understand now that the people they've been listening to have been lying to them. You see, when I was talking about Dan Bongino and affinity to an audience and the mainstream media not having that affinity, this is the point I'm trying to make. Because you have no affinity with your audience, now you're going to have people who watch CNN and MSNBC who are going to start questioning things. Because as he started talking about all these different aspects, if you had the carrot in your cheek, well, I'm thinking of a hook. If you had the hook and you heard what he was saying and they cut him off, you're going like this. What network is he on? Is he on Fox? Is he on One News Nation or blah, 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 OAN? You're going to find it because, hey, that sounded pretty good. So it put them in a precarious position. Do we keep going? Do we turn it off? If we turn it off, then it looks like the Streisand effect will happen, meaning people are going to look for it even further. Why are you turning off the president? And so he started giving these stats that people who haven't seen him didn't hear before. Me, I think this was part of the brilliance.
You came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, crime at record levels with law enforcement, and words such as that just absolutely forbidden. We had the worst trade deals ever made, and our country was laughed at from all over the world. But they're not laughing anymore.
He's looking at his teleprompter. He's reading his speech. His demeanor is very aggressive, very forceful. You know, if you're looking at a body language person, you could tell he was there with a mission. I ain't got time to play around tonight. I know I got to hit these cues. I got to hit this script at certain points before people look away. That's why we those of us who've seen President Trump speak, we saw a different President Trump. Here's a guy, I got to hit my marks. I don't have time to do too much weaving and bobbing. I got to make sure that I keep the people who normally don't see me interested. Those of us who watch are like, hey, man, he looks staid. He looks very, direct. It's because he wasn't talking to us. And I want people to understand it. I want each one of you to understand this was a man on a mission last night who knew I have to hit my marks and let people know this is what happened. And I'm starting this speech, and this is really important, I'm starting this speech with things I know they have a problem with. Most of America doesn't want all these newcomers. Most of America doesn't want transformers everywhere. Most of America knows it's still fresh in their mind what Kamala and Biden did. So he hit those marks first. The appetizer became after the main meal. He was bringing it right to them, because now when I hear you telling me the truth, what does that do? If somebody's telling you the truth and you haven't heard them before or haven't heard them often, you lean in. You lean in. Okay, what else you got? Yeah, I know there's newcomers everywhere. They've taken my jobs. They've done this. They've done that. And I can't stand that these transformers are all over the place. I can't stand that my daughter is having to play with boys, young men. So you initially hear this and you're like, okay, you got my attention. You got my attention. I will keep listening, because everything you just said right there, most Americans agree with. You will be very hard to find an overwhelming number of people who want boys playing girls sports, an overwhelming people who want transformers, an overwhelming amount of people who want the newcomers. Nope. Those are issues that we can coalesce with. And so if I'm talking to you about things you agree with, it makes things a lot easier to keep it going, doesn't it? So you're going to keep talking to me and listening to me because I'm telling you the truth. And so he started off with some truths, as hard as they might be.
Over the past 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American history. There has never been anything like it.
All right, so that was the first intro statement, letting people know this is something you haven't seen before. Uh-oh, what do we got here? Wait a second. President Trump is talking live. This wasn't supposed to happen until 6 p.m. All right.
People begging for me to do this, people that are in great pain. For decades, this action has been requested by American patients suffering from extreme pain, incurable diseases, aggressive cancers, seizure disorders, neurological problems, and more, including numerous veterans with service-related injuries and older Americans who live with chronic medical problems that severely degrade their quality of life. And it's so really, I mean, just, I can't tell you, I think I probably have received more phone calls on this, on doing what we're doing. I don't think I received any calls on the other side of it, but hopefully this reclassification, which, by the way, polls at 82%, will help many of those patients live a far better life. We're joined today by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's doing a fantastic job, Administrator of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty McCary, Director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and the Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, Dr. Nora Valkow, as well as Dr. Ilana Braun from the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Duke University's Dr. David Casseret, the National Commander of the American Legion, Dan Wiley, and my friend Howard Kessler. Howard, how are you feeling? I'm telling you, he looks better than he did 20 years ago. But I don't want to go through what you went through to get there, right? But it looks like you're doing great. I'm proud of you. I want to emphasize that the order I am about to sign is not the legalization, or it doesn't legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. It has nothing to do with it. Just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but can also do irreversible damage and never, if you look at some of the damage that can be caused, wreck lives, and if it's abused, it's never safe to use powerful controlled substances in recreational manners, and especially in this case, if you take a look, illegal and unregulated drugs, very, very bad thing. So I've always told my children, don't take drugs, no drinking, no smoking, and just stay away from drugs. I have been, they would look at me and they said, Dad, would you stop saying that? I would say every time I looked at it practically. Young Americans are especially at risk, so unless a drug is recommended by a doctor for medical reasons, just don't do it. At the same time, the facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered. In some cases, this may include the use as a substitute for addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers, and they cause tremendous problems. This can do it in a much lesser way, can make people feel much better that are living through tremendous pain and problems. 40 states and multiple U.S. territories have already recognized the use of medical marijuana. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, I believe. We're also asking Congress to reconsider its classification of hemp-derived CBD to ensure seniors can access CBD products they have found beneficial for pain and other reasons. Some people are literally dying, and they're dying with tremendous pain, and this can, in many cases, literally stop it. And they have their senses about them, as opposed to painkillers, which don't allow that, don't allow them to die with dignity, frankly. I promise to be the president of common sense, and that is exactly what we're doing. This is really something having to do with common sense, and it's something having to do with the fact that so many people that I respect ask me to do. People that are having problems, big problems. They are having big problems with illness, with cancer in particular. I now want to ask Dr. Oz to say a few words, followed by Dr. Braun, Dr. Casseret, Dan Wiley, and Dr. Valkow. And we'll sign the order as soon as they're complete, and we'll take some questions. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for always bravely pushing for common sense change, as you call it. So President Trump, Secretary Kennedy have been pushing for change. They're passionate in their desire to help the American people, and they have relentlessly pursued this agenda throughout this administration. This also includes a deep passion for research, gold standard research, as Secretary Kennedy also says. But there's another side to the president that often isn't reflected in media reports, and that's the deep passion he has for the people in his life. And he has called me frequently about the people who are calling him, as he alluded to, who are saying that they've got problems and they got relief from some of the solutions we're talking about today. Howard Kessler, who's standing behind me here, who's a mutual friend of ours, was an early caller of the president. Many others have ever reached out as well. And Howard's been a passionate advocate for avoiding narcotics, especially in seniors, and particularly seniors suffering from cancer. And that's a population that is a very important one. And it's a sympathetic population that's desirous of trying new ways besides some of the conventional approaches that have been tested by pharmaceutical companies but have untoward side effects. At the beginning of the year, one of the first things the president told me, he doesn't actually tell you, he demanded from me, that my agency, CMS...
Nobody demands from him. Nobody. You have to know him.
That's right. Go ahead. Use the whole tools at his wherewithal to find a better way to help seniors. A passion for a population that has gotten left behind with these discussions. I promised that we would find an answer, even though it had not been done before. And today we are delivering on that promise. Today, our Innovation Center at CMS is announcing a new model and additional actions to give seniors access to cannabinoids. These are CBDs. They're non-addictive, which many are already using to manage pain. There's some clinical evidence that's showing that CBDs provide relief from common conditions that affect Americans, including cancer symptoms and chronic pain and a slew of other problems that affect disproportionately seniors and our veterans. And 6 in 10 people who use the CBDs report that they improve their pain. I think all of those people are calling the president, judged on the number of calls in support of what we're doing today. And sometimes these decisions are difficult, and there's a reason this hasn't happened before. And there's a reason, Mr. President, that every president before you has whiffed on this issue. It's tough. And I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. That's why we're so passionate about making it clear that this patchwork that we're working within now, the laws and regulations, they're leaving patients and doctors without adequate guidance on the safeguards of how to use these products, even though they're still being used. At Medicare, we cover 68 million Americans, including people under the age of 65. And they did not have a way of providing these treatments until today. With the president's insistence, that's all changes. The Innovation Center models are going to allow millions of Americans on Medicare to become eligible to receive CBD as early as April of next year, and at no charge, if their doctors recommend them. Thanks to the hard work of the entire CMS team, especially Abe Sutton and Gita Dio at the Innovation Center, the accountable care organizations in this country working in Medicare will be able to provide these products, again, at no cost to patients. Medicare Advantage insurers, and we've been calling them, are also agreeing to consider CBD to be used for the 34 million Americans that they cover. If you can hear my voice and you're over 65, you should pay attention to this executive order because it's going to touch your life. Again, this all becomes active after the first quarter of next year. These CBD products must first meet local and state quality and safety standards. They must come from legitimate sources. And they must abide by other regulations of those states. With these boxes checked, patients can be eligible for up to $500 of hemp-derived products each year. This is the first government-led testing of quality and outcomes for patients across different conditions, and it delivers on the need for more data collection and research into hemp usage. CMS is going to collect data, that's our job, on the patients that are being given these products by their physicians. And in accordance with all the privacy and security regulations, we're going to analyze that data. We're going to make it publicly available to everybody to be able to analyze with us. If it shows promise, we will expand access to these products to even more conditions amongst Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries. I want to thank not just the Secretary, but Marty McCary. We want a lot of companies who are doing this research that approach the FDA for formal approval. That is the right way to move forward. And Jay Bhattacharya, who's hiding in the back, he rarely hides, but Jay runs NIH, and he's agreed to support initiatives to study the data that we're collecting. Howard Kessler, God bless you for being a pain in our sides. Mr. President, he's promised to stop calling you. But on this issue, he'll call you on other issues. And I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for taking a difficult stance.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Mr. President, members of the Cabinet, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and for your leadership in rescheduling cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This decision will accelerate scientific research and expand what can responsibly be studied. I'm a cancer psychiatrist and medical cannabis researcher at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Over the past decade, federal investment in research has helped transform cancer care. People are living longer than ever before. But cancer care is not only about treating the tumor, it's also about addressing the anxiety, the fear, the stress that can come with a diagnosis, symptoms that can interfere with treatment and make recovery much more difficult. Many medications we use for acute anxiety carry significant risks, particularly in the older adults. That's why we're studying specific natural compounds found in cannabis, including the non-addictive cannabidiol, to understand whether they can safely and effectively help manage anxiety during cancer treatment. Rescheduling allows us to ask these questions rigorously about dosing, about safety, and who may benefit most. This research reflects the best of federal investment, helping people not only live longer, but live better. Thank you, Mr. President, for supporting careful, science-based research that puts patients first.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. I'll add my vote of thanks, Mr. President. I never really thought this day would come. I met a patient about 20 years ago, a retired professor named Elizabeth, who came to my clinic. She was dying of pancreatic cancer, and she asked me then whether cannabis might help her. And I said no, because that's what I learned in medical school. She reached into her briefcase, took out a 3-inch tall stack of articles, put them down on my desk, and said, "Really, doctor? You should read these. You might learn something." And I did read those articles, every single one, and found a bunch more. And I did learn something. I learned that there actually is some medical benefit to cannabis that I had not anticipated, never heard about in medical school. Second, I learned that there was a lot we don't know. And third, I learned it's really, really, really difficult to do high-quality randomized controlled trials of a substance that's federally illegal. This rescheduling has the potential to change all of that and to rewrite the way that we do research related to cannabis in the United States in 3 ways. First of all, it'll democratize the research process so that all academic institutions can participate in research, not just elite academic medical centers. Number 2, it'll give patients and researchers access to highly refined, reliable sources of cannabis rather than relying on 1 or 2 sources around the country. And last but not least, it'll let us do the sorts of large-scale randomized controlled trials that we do in oncology and cardiology. Not dozens of patients, but hundreds or thousands of patients. That's how we learn. That's how we produce valuable knowledge that's useful in guiding treatment decisions. Mr. President, without you, this never would have been possible. And my patients and I and all of our families are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, I am Dan Wiley, National Commander of the American Legion, representing 1.5 million veterans. We are the largest veterans organization. We have 2.5 million members of our American Legion family. And I want to start by thanking you for your leadership on this issue. This issue is extremely important to the American Legion, and I want to thank you on behalf of the veterans who are going to benefit from potentially the research regarding this issue. Also want to thank you for your VA Secretary, Secretary Collins, and his work on difficult veterans issues with us this past year. The VA has worked with us on our Be the One mission, which is a mission to fight the epidemic of veteran suicide. Veterans are disproportionately affected by conditions such as PTSD, TBI, depression, and chronic pain. And with this reclassification, it will allow research to be conducted with regard to cannabis. There is anecdotal evidence that cannabis benefits these conditions, and now we'll have an opportunity to see if research does prove that it is effective. And if it is so, then it'll open up a whole new method of treatment for our veterans with regard to this particular issue. And so, again, I just want to thank you for your leadership and thank you on behalf of the American Legion for this executive order.
Thank you. Such great people.
Thank you very much.
That have suffered and will suffer a lot less now.
You're right.
Based on what I hear.
Good afternoon.
Else, please.
I'm Nora Volkov. I'm Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And for us, the rescheduling opens the door to actually be able to accelerate the rate at which we can do research and discovery. And research is crucial in order for us to, for example, understand what may be and for whom the dangers of cannabis. Yes, cannabis can be addictive. And certainly people, adolescents and children may be the most vulnerable. But we cannot close our eyes to research and the opportunity that we are hearing from patients that for some of them, cannabis can solve their problem. And so what we need to do is do research, number one, to understand what are those conditions. Number two, in order to be able to optimally learn how to use it. And to understand, number three, who is at danger. And it is knowledge that will allow us to optimally take the benefits that may be behind cannabis, as research shows, but on the other hand, also enable us better to do prevention interventions to protect those that are most vulnerable. So thanks very much.
Great job. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor. Bobby, do you have something to say?
I'll just echo, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and vision and finally getting to closure on this issue. This is a question, a scientific question, that has divided our country for many, many years. And there are valid claims on both sides. On one side, patients and physicians attest that cannabinoids and THC can have miraculous effects on chronic pain, on epilepsy, on PTSD, on chemotherapy-induced nausea. My friend Howard Kessler, without whom we wouldn't be here today, drove this change in the schedule. And he did it because of his own experience in mitigating the impacts of chemotherapy. He has nothing to gain from this. He just saw something that worked for him, that worked for thousands of other Americans, and he wants to make it available to them. On the other side, there are valid claims about the negative impacts, about addiction, about psychosis, about adverse public health impacts, and impacts particularly on young people. So we haven't been, the evidence on all of these is anecdotal and it's hypothetical because we have not been able to do scientific studies. There is no standardized dosing. And if you don't have standardized dosing, any study that you do is comparing apples to pears. And we don't know the difference between botanicals and synthetics, and all of these questions we're now going to be able to answer. 5 administrations have promised to act on this issue. The Biden administration promised to do this, and the proposal began during the Biden administration. It got mired down in the chaos and inertia and disorganization of that. And I want to thank President Trump, who made the promise during the 2024 election that he was going to come in and solve this issue, that he was going to take decisive action, and he has kept that promise today. And so thank you, for President Trump, for your vision. And because of that, we will have answers very soon. This will finally allow us to study this issue and to answer these questions for the American people.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Howard Kessler, a friend of mine, one of the most successful people in the country, came to see me on more than one occasion, actually. And he had some real difficulty about 3.5, 4 years ago. And he went through hell. And during his going through hell, he probably sampled everything you can sample when you're going through that, Howard. For sure. And he came to me, he said, there's been nothing like this, and we're going to have to take a good, strong look at it, and that's what he asked me to do. And others have likewise said that, many others. I mean, you know, again, it's, I've never been inundated by so many people as I have about this particular reclassification. And I don't know that you have anything to say, Howard. If you'd like, you could say whatever you like.
I just want to help the people 65 and over and make a difference in their lives. And we have machines and talent that could do it, not in 8-year clinical trials, but in a year. And we're going to prove that to change the world, really, in healthcare. So thank you, Mr. President.
And I'm far younger than 65, so this does not pertain to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want it, okay? I'm not going to be taking it, but a lot of people do want it. A lot of people need it, and thank you, Howard, for really opening a lot of eyes. Okay, we'll sign it. We'll take some questions from the press. You can ask the doctors some questions, and it's an honor to do this. Well, that's a good one. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Any questions, please?
Mr. President,
Yes.
a health-related question on your health care plan. You've said you want to make direct payments to Americans, but these Obamacare subsidies are expiring now in a matter of just a few days. More than 20 million Americans are now bracing for their premiums to skyrocket. Are you going to let this happen, or will you intervene?
Yeah, they will skyrocket because it was never any good. I'd like to see the money that is going to the insurance companies by the hundreds of billions of dollars. You know, their stocks are up 1,400%, 1,800%, and 1,624%. Their stocks are up through the roof over a fairly short period of time because they're getting vast amounts of money. I want that money to go to the people directly and let the people buy their own health care. And they'll get much better health care than they get with the Unaffordable Care Act, as it's known by a lot of people. It is virtually unaffordable for people. It's a bad thing. We can have a great thing. Let the money go directly to the people and let them buy their own health care.
But this is an urgent problem, Mr. President. Is there anything you can do now, Mr. President?
Can I answer, Mr. President?
This is going to be right now, as far as I'm concerned. Go ahead.
We just got data today. We have federal exchanges where people come shopping for the ACA. And the president hasn't heard this yet, but we've talked to the team. The percentage change from last year was down 2.7 to 2.8%. Not the massive numbers that have been predicted. And there's many possible reasons for this, but right now Americans are signing up for these programs despite all the things that have been going on. 2.8% is a tiny fraction of what many had claimed would happen, and I think it speaks to the fact the American people appreciate these ACA plans are already subsidized over 80%. So it's a good deal, even if you don't get the extra 15-20%.
It's a great solution to much better health care at a much lower cost. Yeah, please.
But do you want Congress to extend these ACA subsidies?
Well, I'd like not to be able to do it. I'd like to get right into this, and I'd ask Oz this question in particular, but I'd like to see us get right into this. I don't know why we have to extend. This could be done rapidly if the Democrats would come along. We have a problem. The insurance companies own the Democrat Party. They own it. And the Democrats having a hard time. They give a lot of money to the Democrats. Very little money to Republicans, by the way. A lot of money to Democrats. And they're going to have to decide, do they want to do the right thing or do they want to be beholden to the insurance companies? They're making a fortune. I want the money to go to the people. Go ahead, Oz. How would you say that?
I agree with the president. We have some ideas out there. Congress is working through some concepts. But I just want to emphasize that the ACAs are not imploding based on the data we just received from the federal marketplace.
This can go very quickly, actually. Yes, please.
Mr. President, can I ask you, clarify something for me on the Federal Reserve? How many people are you interviewing for the Fed chairman, and what did you think of Chris Waller?
I think he's great. I mean, he's been a man who's been there a long time, somebody that I was very involved with in the sense of his career, and he's a fantastic man. I met him yesterday, again.
So how many people are you looking at?
We're talking to 3 or 4. I think every one of them would be a good choice, honestly. We'll be making a decision pretty quick.
Is Michelle Bowman on that list too? Are you going to interview her?
She's fantastic. She's a fantastic person.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some GOP lawmakers have written to you in recent days saying they're concerned this executive order could normalize drug use for youth. How would you respond to them?
You're talking about this particular today? Well, I think I'd let one of the doctors respond to it because they can do it a lot better than me. But I can only tell you that when you see polls of 82% of the people want this, when I have friends that are really, really sick and they've gone through, I guess you could say, unfortunately, I don't want to become too involved in it because I don't want it happening, but these are people that really know what's going on. Very smart people. This is one of the most successful people in the country and a very brilliant guy. And when they go through this horrible ordeal of cancer or other things, and they realize that this is something that makes them feel better without all of the side effects of some of the drugs where you're just totally knocked out and out of it. But I'd like to have one of the doctors maybe respond because you people do it better than anybody.
I'm happy to respond.
Yes.
I mean, and my answer is we have had cannabis scheduled for how long? And it hasn't protected neither the adolescents nor the adults. We have 20 million people in the United States with a cannabis use disorder. This is not legalizing it. It's making easier to do research so that we can use it when it is indicated and optimally.
So it's also a big part of this is research. In other words, you'll now have a much larger sample and you'll be able to see if it's as good as many people say it is. I mean, people say it is beyond good, and you'll be able to find that out now.
On housing, you talked in your address last night about housing.
Yeah.
Are you still considering a national emergency over housing?
I'm looking at it.
What would
Yeah,
that look
I'm
like?
looking
What would
at
that
it.
mobilize?
You know, there's two thoughts on housing. You have a lot of people have housing that because we have such a strong time and such a strong market, their houses are very valuable. It's a big part of their net worth, their house. I don't want to knock those numbers down because I want them to continue to have a big value for the house. At the same time, I want to make it possible for young people out there and other people to buy housing. In a way, they're at conflict. In other words, you create a lot of housing all of a sudden, and it drives the housing prices down. So I want to take care of the people that have houses that have a value to the house that they never thought possible, that have sort of made them wealthy and happy, and especially in their later years. Got to be careful with that. I want to keep them up. At the same time, I want to make it possible for people to go buy houses. Daniel, please.
Mr. President, you announced the Warriors dividend last night in your primetime speech. Very patriotic, very generous. What was the rationale and the thought process? How did you come up with the idea? What made you want to give back to
Well,
our
the
troops?
1776 was easy to come up with because we're actually at 1775. The number was 1775, and I said, wow, I think we can afford one more dollar. But they came up to me, it was $1,775. So I said, well, let's add a dollar to it. I think we can find that. And very simple. We've had a military that, in my opinion, by other presidents, was not treated well. They're incredible. They're our finest people. They're protecting us. And because of tariffs, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars more than we ever have before. With no inflation, by the way. With no inflation. You saw the inflation numbers. It just came out today. What great timing. Practically no inflation. And yet we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And this is small potatoes by comparison, but it's a way of taking care of our warriors, our soldiers. And I appreciate that question, Daniel.
Yeah, and Caroline
It was an easy one.
She just posted on X, your press secretary, that the board members of the Kennedy Center voted unanimously to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I was honored by it. The board is a very distinguished board, most distinguished people in the country. And I was surprised by it. I was honored by it. We're saving the building. We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way. And now it's very solid, very strong. We have something going on television, I guess on the 23rd December. I think it's going to get very big ratings. And the Kennedy Center is really back strongly. It's in very bad shape, very, very bad shape physically. And we were also to get Congress to put up a lot of money and other people to put up a lot of money. We had a lot of donors come in for record-setting numbers. So we saved the Kennedy Center, and I was really, this was brought up by one of the very distinguished board members, and they voted on it. And there's a lot of board members, and they voted unanimously. So I was very honored by it. Thank you.
Mr. President, will you be seeking any authorization from Congress for any land attacks on cartels in Venezuela?
For anyone?
for any land attacks on drug cartels in Venezuela?
I wouldn't mind telling them, but it's not a big deal. I don't have to tell them. It's been proven. But I wouldn't mind at all. I just hope they wouldn't leak it. People leak it. They are politicians and they leak like a sieve. But I'd have no problem doing that.
On that, Mr. President.
Yes, please.
Mr. President, there's a meeting this weekend on Ukraine in Florida. What are you hoping will come out of that meeting?
Well, they're getting close to something, but I hope Ukraine moves quickly. I hope Ukraine moves quickly because Russia's there. And, every time they take too much time, then Russia changes their mind. 27,000 soldiers were killed last month. Think of that. What do you think of that, doctors? 27,000, it's like a half a football stadium, were killed in 1 month. And it's that way. It's anywhere between 20 and 30,000, mostly soldiers, also some people from Kiev and other places. But largely it's the soldiers. They're losing their lives. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's the worst since World War II. And, you've heard me say I settled 8 wars. Some going on for 35 years, one going on for 37, one going on for 32, and 8 wars, and I thought this would be an easier one. This is because of the animosity, the hatred, it's a little bit more difficult than we thought, but there's a chance we can get this done maybe soon.
Sir?
Remember that 25 to 30,000 people being killed a month, young people being killed a month. Steve, please.
When do you expect to make your announcement about the new Fed chair, sir? Before the end of the year? What do you think?
Over the next couple of weeks. I don't know before the end of the year, but pretty soon.
And then the Rocky Mount, North Carolina tomorrow night. Tell us what your message is going to be there, sir.
Say what?
When you go to Rocky Mount, North Carolina tomorrow night, what's your message going to be there?
Well, it's not going to be that much different from what I did last night. We've had tremendous success. We're bringing prices down. We inherited a mess. And part of what we inherited was the worst inflation in 48 years. I say history, but we had the worst inflation. It drove prices up. And now we're bringing those prices down. But I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about the fact that we secured the border where literally nobody can come into our country illegally anymore. They came in from prisons and mental institutions and drug dealers and, a lot of bad people from all over the world. Venezuela emptied their prisons into our country. We had Tren de Aragua, which supposedly, the doctors don't know this, it's the meanest gang of them all. Okay, doctor? You don't have to know about it. You got other problems. But they let a lot of bad people in here. And so I think I'll be talking about that. I think I'll be talking about the tremendous success we have by sending the National Guard into various cities. D.C. is the ultimate example. People walk to work and they thank me all the time. People in the White House, they just walk to the White House from 10 blocks away. Before I came into office, they couldn't do that. They were getting badly hurt in many cases and beyond hurt, killed. So we were losing people. We were losing, on average, a person a week. Can you believe it? More. And now we haven't lost anybody in a long time. I consider the 2 people that got so badly hurt, the National Guard, that's a different city. That was terrorism. And probably terrorism, maybe terrorism, because they were unhappy with the tremendous success we've had, because they don't want to see this country be successful. But Washington, D.C. now is a safe, beautiful city where the restaurants are booming, the town is booming. People walk to the restaurants with their wife or their children and have a good time. We were losing all the restaurants. We were losing our life in this. We were just the whole heritage of Washington, D.C. was down the drain, and we brought it back. And now everybody's thrilled to be here. It's the hottest. It's a part of the hottest country anywhere in the world. We become, in 10 months, the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I say it all the time, we were a dead country 1.5 years ago.
Do you expect to meet Prime Minister Netanyahu while you're down in Palm?
Yeah, he would like to see me. We haven't set it up formally, but he'd like to see me. We've had great success. Peace in the Middle East, aside from everything else. We now have peace in the Middle East. Yeah, he'll probably come to see me in Florida.
The Egyptians as well? Are they coming
I'd love to have him. El Sisi, he's a friend of mine. Yeah, I'd love to have him. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press. Let's go.
I just love how they usher them out of there. Get out, get out. We are done with you. Go away. No more questions. Be gone. Love it. All right, so let's talk about this briefly. It was something we weren't expected. It was on his schedule that he would be signing an executive order at 1:30, but it said closed press, which kind of pushed our entire show back a little bit. So I may have to do some of the stuff I had planned on doing today. I'll do it tonight because he's also signing a order tonight at 6 p.m. So maybe if I cut this one short, and we'll go ahead and do tonight as well. But wanted to talk about one of the things that I saw many people were discussing. And what many people were discussing was, I don't like this. It's a gateway drug. It's bad. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. And the only comment I have in that regard is, don't take it. You see, I go into stores, especially into like gas station stores. I see cigarettes. I don't buy them. I don't smoke. I've never smoked. Other people smoke. I go past, Walgreens and I see the liquor store. I don't buy any. I don't drink. I haven't drunk in years. I may have one here or there at a restaurant, but I don't drink. But it's there. It's available. I just don't drink, so I don't buy any. You see, the freedom of choice is still yours. And even if you don't want to, I am not going to sit here and say somebody who's in a lot of pain. If you've ever seen someone who's got some seriously chronic pain, if you've ever seen somebody completely debilitated with pain, they will do anything to stop that pain. And I would much rather somebody take some chewables, edibles, instead of injecting some drug into themselves, instead of taking some sort of heroin or fentanyl. I mean, I'm not going to look down my nose at somebody who's in pain, who needs and wants to feel better, wants to be able to, I've known people with migraines. And I've known people with migraines who have taken CBD. I'm like, oh, I feel better. Good, you can function. You can do what you need to do. This isn't to get high. There's not going to be people taking edibles like this to get high. And so if you think it's a gateway drug, well, the part that makes it gateway is if they're, gotta get a toke or something. By the way, when I said I didn't smoke, be complete honesty, I didn't smoke cigarettes. I was in college, yes. And then, yeah, we toke up. I'll admit it. I was a bad boy back then. But then again, some of it also was because of football. And if you've never collided with people for 2 or 3 hours a day who are your size or bigger, and you feel the pain of bruising afterwards, and there's really nothing you can take because you get tested all the time. Well, some of us would just, partake. So I'm not going to point my fingers at somebody and say, you shouldn't do that, because I'm not walking in their shoes. I don't know how much pain somebody is in. And I just want you to think of that before you completely say, oh, this is horrible. And then the other part about it, is it going to hurt kids? Every single day when I went to high school, when I would drive sometimes, and one of my buddies would drive, and there would be a bunch of people getting stoned. And some of those same people right now are doctors and lawyers and business owners. So unless you have smoked actual pot and have experienced it, I would suggest this isn't that. And the comparison isn't the same. This is medicinal, and it's to help people who are in pain, who are dealing with drugs. This isn't recreational stuff. Or it's not supposed to be. I'm looking at up here. It says the average THC content in marijuana can be quite high. And so he's reclassifying it. All right, enough said about that. I'm not going to preach to you about that. You guys can make up your own mind and figure out what you want to do. Before I get back to my part of the show, he mentioned this. And again, these are things that are just going to piss off the left. They're just, they're going to go nuts. Caroline Levitt posted, as he mentioned, I have just been informed that the highly respected board of the Kennedy Center, some of the most successful people from all parts of the world, have just voted unanimously to rename the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center. Because of the unbelievable work President Trump has done over the last year in saving the building, not only from the standpoint of reconstruction, but also financially and its reputation. Congratulations to President Trump, and likewise, congratulations to President Kennedy, because this will be a truly great team long into the future. The building will no doubt attain new levels of success and grandeur, except for the fact that now there's going to be a bunch of entertainers who don't want to perform there because it says it's the Trump building. They've got such severe TDS. And by having such severe TDS, some of them are not going to want to even perform there. Screw them. That's all I say. If you don't want to perform there, don't. Period. End of story. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break. I was going to take this break, but I can't talk about the fishing trip anymore. So let me just fast forward to it, and we'll be right here. Let's do this.
Hey everybody, Barry has a couple things to let you know. Go to fanfareshop.org/group and join 18,000 fellow patriots. It's a safe space for patriots as it's curated and moderated. Again, that's fanfareshop.org/group. One more thing, if you'd like to be a part of the show, submit a 60-second video by going to fanfareshop.org/submit video. Last, but certainly not least, if you'd like to request a free Bible, please go to fanfareshop.org/Bible. We have a long list, but we're getting them out as soon as we can. Again, that's fanfareshop.org/Bible. Thanks for being a part of the Fanfare family. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
And I can tell you, I'm looking at it right now here in a new studio, and over there, you can't see it, but that's Robin's area. And she came in about an hour ago, and she just stacked two big bins full of Bibles. So we got about 75 going out tomorrow, and then we'll get some more in the next couple of days, and we're just going through it. So if you applied for a Bible, they are coming. The only problem I mentioned yesterday was if you're using a P.O. box and your P.O. box forwards to your wherever you are, these things won't forward and they just get kicked back to me. So if you've gone ahead and asked for a Bible but used a P.O. box but you have forwarding attached, you're probably not going to get it. It's going to end up back to us, and we're going to have to waste money sending out stuff that you're not going to receive. So make sure you put something where it actually gets to you, and that way, we're not all just chasing our tails with this stuff. All right, so it looks like Howard Lutnick's going to come up real soon. But before then, let's continue with the speech last night. I have all these segments ready, and things keep happening. So let's just move forward.
In addition, I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done, standing up to the special interests to dramatically reduce the price of prescription drugs. I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations which were taking advantage of our country for many decades to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%.
All right, so there's CNN brought out their normal fact checker, but nobody fact checks the fact checker. And the fact checker came out and said that President Trump is lying. There's no way he can reduce anything in that regards. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Of course you can. Of course you can. They're so pissed off by what President Trump said, they can't even contain themselves. Again, it's religion to them. They need you to have to pay more. I also took a note when you were talking about the first reporter from CBS, I believe, and she said that the premiums on Obamacare are about to skyrocket. And the answer to that is very simple. The premiums aren't going to skyrocket. That's the message. That's the narrative that they're putting out. Oh, the premiums are about to go through the roof. No. See, what's happening is the premium was already there. The subsidy is going away. They didn't increase their cost. Their cost has been there. You haven't had to pay it because we were paying for it. So it seems like all of a sudden, oh, the premiums are going up. Nope, not true. And President Trump kind of told her that. Yeah, they might go away. Subsidies might go away. The media doesn't want to talk about subsidies. It's absolutely insane.
In other words, your drug costs will be plummeting downward. And I used the threat of tariffs to get foreign countries who would never have done it to pay the cost of this giant dollar reduction. They stopped ripping us off, and it began as of 4 days ago. There has never been anything like this in the history of our country. Drugs have only gone up, but now they'll be going down by numbers never conceived possible. It's called most favored nation.
See, that's a phrase that you don't hear the media talk about either. They don't even ever tell their people. So there are probably people watching this speech who heard him say that and turned to each other and, what the hell is most favored nation? Can anybody tell me what most favored nation is? No, they don't want to tell people that, because by telling people that, that's telling people that President Trump is using a hammer on these other countries. They don't ever want people to think we're being powerful to another country. Most favored nation, what's that? If you're paying $10 in Canada, you got to give us the price of $10. Because if they explain that, what's your natural reaction? Well, why weren't we doing that before? See, everything that they complain about that they can't talk, that they don't want people to hear, is because the natural reaction when people hear what most favored nation means, it's a duh. You're telling me if I take the same drug and I go to Mexico and buy it, it's $10. Yes. Or if I go to Italy, it's $10. Yeah. How much is it here? $600. Why? You're America. You got it. That's the only answer. And so people who haven't heard anything about most favored nation, because they're not talking about it, now have to turn their heads and go, what in the hell did he just say? What is most favored nation? And this is something you guys can tell people because they don't know. Trust me, they're not talking about it. You can go ahead and look and see if CNN, go to their website and search MFN, most favored nations. See how many times it's been mentioned. They don't want people to know that.
And no president has ever had the courage or ability to get this done until now. The first of these unprecedented price reductions will be available starting in January through a new website, TrumpRx.gov. And these big price cuts will greatly reduce the cost of health care.
And then the next question is, have you just heard that, maybe for the first time, is why have no other presidents done it? Why is this guy the one that's making drug prices most favored nation based? Answer that, CNN. Answer that, MSNBC. Why is he the first one to say, we want the same price? And then the contrast is, so we're paying more. Everybody knows we're paying more, but you didn't tell us you had the opportunity to bring the prices down. And even yesterday, when they did the reaction to it, none of them talked about it. Didn't get talked about. Don't want anybody to know. There is so much that the left is keeping from their, I almost said the word BS. There's so much that they're keeping these people like mushrooms that they have no clue. They are not educating. They are only issuing propaganda statements. If they educated people, they would lose credibility, they would lose voters. How do I know? I asked my sisters. Do you know what most favored nation means? No. Do you know what most favored nation will do to, whatever prescriptions you have? No. Ask people you know. I challenge you. Just say it just like that. Hey, Joe, hey, listen, do you understand how most favored nations is going to benefit us? And just say that. Don't even tell them where you're going with it. Just merely ask them, do you know how most favored nations is going to benefit us? I have no idea what you're talking about, Fred. Yeah, that's what you're going to get.
Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected. And our country is back stronger than ever before.
All right. So so many people on X had a problem with this, and they were posting things like, hey, my gas isn't below $2. My groceries are still too expensive. But it's easy to say that. What's not easy to do is to prove it. Too many people are listening, but they're not looking for information. There was a guy the other day who posted that he went to Taco Bell and he ordered 4 soft tacos, and it cost him $25. Now, I don't go to Taco Bell, but I know where the Taco Bell is, so I went and I drove through the drive-in. And I took a picture, and a soft taco in Boca Raton was $2. So I'm thinking to myself, where do you live where a soft taco is $5? Or are you simply lying to everybody? I mean, it was funny. There was a guy who was complaining about gas prices. And as he was talking about the speech last night, he was calling President Trump a liar. Nope, the gas prices are not that cheap. It just doesn't exist. And it was so funny to me because I watched how it was responded to. Hold on, I'm scrolling to it because it was very interesting. Man, these guys put up so much content. Here it is right here. One of them. It says, update. In 40 states, the average gas price is below $3. In 24 states, it's below $2.75. In 9 states, it's below $2.50. Americans can even find gas below $2 a gallon at some stations in at least 7 states. Colorado, blue state, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Texas. And this was earlier, is this the one? Yeah, somebody was talking about, all right, here it is right here. Gas Buddy, the national average for a gallon of gas, regular gas, has reached another multi-year low, now at its lowest price since March 2021. But unless you do the research, you don't see that. And so people are out there smearing things when they don't even want to do the work to look at it. They don't want anybody to know that the gas prices are that low. And so what people were doing in this one thread here, they're actually posting it, 217, 215. When people start talking about it, 299, and he's in Portland, Oregon, one of the bluest states out there. And so the actual truth is being obfuscated by the left. They don't want people to think that. I mean, if I go to Costco here in Boca and show you even at Costco how low the price is, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So when people just say, oh, it's not cheap here, well, you know, we all can go to Gas Buddy and just see what the price is, right, in your area. And maybe people don't know. Maybe people don't know that they can log on to Gas Buddy and actually look at it. Here, let me find you, because I want to find that initial post where it pretty much embarrassed this guy. I think it was Rick Grinnell who ripped him apart. Okay, here it is. This guy watched the thing last night, goes, will the White House disclose its source for the prices? Instead of doing your own homework. Why do I have to tell you what you can find out on your own? But in any event, they showed him. Okay, here you go. And every single one of these, when you click on them, it tells the cheapest gas in your area. Did you know you could do that? Did you know that you could go on Gas Buddy and put in your zip code and it'll tell you where the cheapest gas is around you? So if your local station is charging you $3.85, it'll show you, oh, there's one over here for $2.80. You might have to drive an extra mile. That's the whole thing. I don't understand when people say, oh, my groceries aren't as cheap as everybody says. Maybe it's where you're shopping. Maybe you need to go where they're not ripping you off. And I can always tell when people are full of crap, because down here where we live, it is a very expensive area. And if I see our prices are cheaper than people who live in other areas, I'm like, you're lying. There's no way. That's what we need to do.
Poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen.
That's a big problem for liberals. If things happen the way President Trump is getting things lined up to happen, and remember, this was last night, and then today, all the economic stuff just goes boom. So immediately after he said, here, we're setting things up, here it comes. Oh, you're so full of crap. Oh, nothing's going to happen. Oh, Trump's lying. And then this morning, their world imploded with all of the new financial data that got released today. We're going to go over that. Hopefully I have time today.
We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Just take a look at Washington, D.C. It's at levels of safety that we've never seen before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people, and we're so proud of it because they were.
So there's another story going around that the Washington, D.C. police chief was fudging the books. They were doing things to make it look like their crime was already low. And so as the Department of Justice, who everyone thinks Pam Bondi's not doing anything, as they go into these areas, they're finding out where the lies are. And then these people are just scurrying and taking the exit. But the liberal media won't tell you that. The liberal media won't even show you the story of the Washington, D.C. police chief resigning because she cooked the books. So how can people not understand what he was doing was causing people to, what's he talking about? Because as soon as you get into your mind, what's he talking about, hopefully you pick up your phone or something and you start looking for that data. What do you mean it's low? What happened in Washington, D.C.? Oh, he put in the troops. Maybe some people don't even know that the troops are there. Maybe some people don't know that she fudged the numbers. This is what we're working against, an actual religion that these people have, an actual religion that they have to make it seem as though everything this man is saying is complete BS, when if they just took the time, they could actually find this information for themselves. But they don't. They've been relying on people like Rachel Maddow, who makes 25 or 30 million a year, the crazies and ABC, instead of just understanding you're not being shown the good stuff. You ever go to a restaurant and, oh, my boy's on. Hold on a second.
Again, because this was a surprise, 2.7% in November was the inflation rate. That's really got to be.
It wasn't a surprise. That's some manipulation right there.
And then it also opens up the possibility of more Fed rate cuts next year.
Well, President said he was going to bring prices down and that he was going to grow our revenue through tariffs, but he was not going to let prices go up. We're cutting energy prices. We're cutting interest rates, right? These things are coming down. And I think what you're going to see next year is an extraordinary year. Energy prices down, interest prices down, and earnings up, up, up.
You know, Mr. Secretary, it's Sandra here in New York. Thanks so much for joining us today. So I keep this sheet. I look at all these economic figures every single day. And I know you've been doing this a long time. And I know you've probably got those key figures that you watch to gauge, the economy and where it's headed. I see so many great things. I see gas coming down, oil coming down, grocery prices coming down. All these good things are happening, but yet I see consumer confidence has taken a pretty significant hit this year. It's down about 16% since President Trump took office. What do you see as that disconnect? Why are things going so well in so many areas, but yet consumer confidence is taking such a hit?
Well, that's why we got to have people watch Fox so they actually get the truth rather than the fake news. I mean, you've got the president fighting for drug prices to be lower, fighting for energy prices to be lower, fighting for interest rates to be lower. Those are the three big pushes. And then the other side of the coin is bringing in these trillions of dollars of investment are going to drive jobs, high-paying jobs, great jobs. You get the earnings up, and you have the golden age coming. It's got to be both sides. The 1-2 punch has got to be delivered, and that's what we're focused on.
Okay, so Sandra asked you about the reality versus the perception. So I got to ask you about some of the things that the president said last night, because some of them were just mathematically impossible. Listen to what he said about bringing down the price of prescription drugs. Listen here.
I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations which were taking advantage of our country for many decades to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%.
Well, if you cut something by 100%, the cost goes down to zero. If you cut it by 4, 5, or 600%, the drug companies are actually paying you to take their product. So it raises the question, how much of last night's speech was hyperbole and how much was fact?
No, what he's saying is you bring it, if a drug was $100 and you bring the drug down to $13, right? If you're looking at it from $13, it's down 7 times.
It's not a 600%.
Well, but it's 700% higher price before. It's down 700% now, right? So a $13 would have to go up 700% to get back to the old one. So it all depends on when you look at it. You could say it's down 87%, or you could say it would have to go up 700% to be the same one. So it just depends on what you look at it. But basically what he's saying, and we all know what he's saying, is we are hammering the price of drugs down. That's what's happening, and he's announcing it all the time. He's got more announcements even between now and the end of the year. So we're going to cut prices on drugs, and that's going to, you know what that does? It'll lower your price of insurance, right? Because drug prices are what drive up insurance costs. So it's going to lower the price of insurance. The president is going after those key building blocks that cause prices to be higher, knocking them down one at a time. That brings the whole thing down.
Mr. Secretary, I imagine a lot of New Year's resolutions out there for some Americans is to get into a home. People have struggled with what has been a very tight housing market all over the country. The average price of a new home right now is still over $400,000 in this country. That's unaffordable for so many Americans. So can you give us your forecast for the new year? Are you going to get this? I mean, can we eventually see this housing market moving? What's it going to take? Is it going to take lower interest rates? I mean, what can you tell people who are looking to get into a home?
So when President Trump left office the first time, the average age of a home buyer, first-time home buyer, was 33 years old. And now it's 40 years old. It's ridiculous. So we've got to do a number of things, and the president is on it. We've got to get those interest rates down. He's going to pick a new Fed governor, a new Fed chairman, and they are going to bring rates down. Why is the strongest country in the world have the 34th highest interest rate in the world? It makes no sense. Lower interest costs and then get in front of all these different regulations and state permitting, right? Think this through. We are meeting the whole government, all the key factors and all the key players. We're all getting together. We're all speaking to the president once a week now, giving him all the ideas. Early next year, he's going to pick all the best ideas and come back with a consolidated, concise housing policy that's going to make housing more affordable for Americans. We all agree you've got to do it, and the president's on it.
A lot of people will be looking forward to that, no question. A lot of people will be looking forward to this, too, is that the big effects of the big, beautiful bill for individuals are going to be felt when they file their tax return. Here's part of it. Increased standard deduction, SALT deduction cap increases to $40,000 from $10,000, though that is income limited. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on auto loan interest, extra senior standard deduction, $200 increase in the child tax credit, partial refund of the adoption tax credit. How will the average American benefit, Mr. Secretary, when they do their taxes?
I think they're going to get thousands of dollars. They're going to get thousands of dollars back in their tax returns, right? So the income that they're going to get on those tax days is going to be extraordinary. Look for the second quarter of 2026 to be amazing as all this money comes back into the economy from this big, beautiful bill, which really takes care of Americans. Finally, the president has the power to take care of Americans. Someone actually in the White House cares about the real people of America.
Mr. Secretary, only a couple seconds left here, but since you're putting so much weight on bringing those interest rates down, care to name your pick for the next chair of the Federal Reserve?
I can tell you for certain that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is going to pick the right person. He's got great candidates. I feel amazingly confident that the cast who's in front of him are great choices. And the president, he's got it in his mind, but the president's going to pick.
Yeah, we were talking off camera, and he likes everybody.
No, I mean, if you put great candidates in front of him, and these people are fantastic,
I mean, you like
he's going to
everybody.
select. I do. I like, you know what happens is if you like the choices, then the president can choose amongst great choices. That's what we did in transition. That's what he's got in front of him for this chairman of the Fed. And I think rates are going to come down as they should in America. Why does America have 4% rates when the rest of the world has 2%? It makes no sense. Thank goodness the president gets to choose a new chairman of the Fed.
Appreciate you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much for coming on.
All right, second quarter 2026, amazing. You heard it here first. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, a couple things that he said, talking about housing. He didn't mention the deportations and how that's going to hurt demand. If there's less people looking for homes, if there's less people looking for apartments, then that means that there's should be a correlative price drop. Everything is supply and demand. You can tweak every lever that you want to, but if there's 10 people looking for one apartment, the apartment's going to go up. It's going to be more expensive till the person who can afford it can take it. But if all of a sudden there's only 2 people looking for that apartment, then now it's going to be more reasonable. So that's got to happen. The other thing, when they're talking about the average price of a home, most of people watching Fox are not living in California. What you need to find out wherever you are is what is the average home price, sold home price in your area. All sizes may vary. What's going to cost you in Boca down here, what's going to cost you in Los Angeles, what's going to cost you in New York is going to be completely different than what's going to cost you in Tuscaloosa. And so being in real estate for so long, I hate when people give the average home price, because if you looked at the average home price here, there are houses literally 5 miles away from me that are going for 20 and 30 million, which obviously skews the average. If you've got a $30 million house on the beach, but then you've got a single house way out west that's maybe 1,500 square feet. Well, what's the average when you put 20 million with 200,000? It's all relative. That's why everybody says real estate is local. We're using the wrong terms. You need to find out what the average home price is in your area. So you're comparing apples to apples. I would never expect somebody to compare beachfront property in Highland Beach, Florida, which is probably the highest end around here. Highland Beach, you probably see some $15, $20 million houses. Literally. No kidding. Their boats cost more than most people's houses. But in any event, that's a problem, and I think people have to do it. But then the last point I want to make is he said exactly what I've been telling you. People don't know this stuff. It wasn't by accident that he said that. It wasn't by accident that I picked up on what Trump was doing last night. Howard Lutnick just gave me the big underscore. He put a star on my refrigerator. People don't know this. And because they don't know it, it is incumbent upon us to be able to tell other people. What the hell is most favored nation? Like I just told you, stop comparing average home prices. All this kind of stuff is crazy. It has to be relative to the individual. So let's go back to President Trump.
Poisoning and destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean and by sea are now down 94%. We have broken the grip of sinister woke radicals in our schools and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states where education belongs. After rebuilding the United States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close.
So what he said right there, and again, you saw this all, but you may not break it down and assimilate it. Everything he's saying, and this is what I want to make sure you understand why the counter narrative is there. They don't want that. Nothing what he just said there do they want. So he's insulting their religion. Oh, we're going to put education in the states. Oh my God, Trump's going to hurt education. Oh, you can't get worse than last, can you? I mean, you're already in last place. So maybe you should do something to, the states can figure out how they want to handle the students in their area. I don't need to have the government telling me what people in my school district should be doing. I assume the people here that we vote understand what our kids need in this area and in your area. Democrats, don't like it. That control and money gets taken away. Another spigot that they've turned off. And of course, they don't want a powerful military. That is their worst nightmare. Being able to swing a hammer on an international stage is not something that the libs want. They want us to be taken advantage. They want us to supplicate. And so people hearing this are like, whoa, we got the strongest military? Well, I didn't know that.
I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, and ended the war in Gaza, bringing for the first time in 3,000 years peace to the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead.
Not something they want to talk about there. They brought the hostages back. What hostages? Notice that I don't know if you know this, but the liberal media hardly ever talked about the hostages. They didn't want people to know that since October 7th, they've still been holding people. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about anything about that. Why would they ever mention anything negative about Hamas or Palestine? No, they can't. So there's people right now who didn't realize we still got the hostages over there. Trump had to negotiate to get those hostages back. Maybe there's some people like, hostages from where? What happened? You see how fast the news cycle moves. And, people like Fox and some other stations out there, they keep talking about the Brown shooting. And that's one of the weirdest things ever. But everybody else has kind of moved on. They don't want to talk about who that might be. You're telling me somebody walked up and shot a young woman and we can't, on a college campus, and you can't tell us anything. I don't know if you guys heard the press conference yesterday, but somebody asked the chief of police in Providence, can you at least tell us, is it a man or a woman? And his answer was, well, it's a person. No, I thought it was a dog. Of course it's a person. Is it a man or is it a woman? Oh, I can't really say that because to them there's no difference. I can't define what a woman is. Do they squat or do they stand when they pee? How can we start there? Is there some agreement? Is there something down there or something not down there? Can we talk there? Forget what they identify as. Can we get some physical things maybe we can talk about and we can figure out the rest? So start there. Are they squatters or standers? They don't want anyone to know the information. And this whole thing with the Reiners, did you see how fast that went away? Trump's bad tweet. Oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And then this thing started coming out. Oh, we don't want to talk about that. They can't exist without keeping people in the dark. And so everything he was saying yesterday in a very rushed voice and trying to get all these stats out is because he knows that they are going to have a problem with. They actually came out yesterday and said he has not stopped 8 wars. I'm thinking, I've counted them. Well, because they can lie, because most people don't know there was a war going on in Cambodia and Thailand. So if they didn't know there was a war in Cambodia and Thailand, then there's no way he could have stopped it, right? And so everything, as I'm showing you the bullet points here, they don't know how to react other than scream and say it doesn't exist. And I love that he's keeping the pressure on them.
The Democrat inflation disaster, again, the worst in the history of our country, also robbed millions of Americans of home ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule.
See, when all the panicans were out there talking about how people can't buy houses, I haven't seen one post from any of the people that said the boomers were the problem saying that. So why can't young people buy a home besides the fact that many of them aren't working in jobs that will allow them to buy a home? When I bought my first home, it wasn't just when I got out of college. I had to go work. I had to go do stuff. And then all of a sudden, well, yeah, okay, you have been deemed approvable. That's not going to change. It doesn't matter who screams. It doesn't matter who posts. Nobody is going to take a flyer on you. When I mean flyer, a shot on you, if you don't have a history of paying bills. Ain't gonna happen. If you don't have the money to put down, ain't gonna happen. So as much as people want to complain, the complaining part is on the other side. You're not financially worthy of a mortgage. Oh, that hurts. You can't tell people they're not worthy. Well, go ahead and apply and get turned down and find out. You're not worthy. I wouldn't lend you $100, never mind $100,000. And I don't know if it happened with the trophy generation, but we got to tell people, you're just not qualified. Cry all you want. Blame it on Barry. Big mean Barry says you're not good enough. I think we need to be honest with people instead of saying, oh, it's the boomers the problem, because you could ask somebody 3 or 4 questions and realize, I can't lend you any money. Are you working? Have you been working for 24 months? How much are you making? What's 30% of your income? Let me see your other credit. You have credit cards. You have, what have you done that qualifies you for a loan other than give me? And so at this point, we have to have tough love. Hey, listen, it's not working for you. You're just not good enough. Is that a bad thing? If you think that's a bad thing, then you are enabling people who aren't qualified. That's what the left wants to do. The left wants to say we're all in this together when we're not. I just mentioned you the $20 million houses over on the beach. Can I go over there? Can I get one? No, sorry, man, you ain't there. I think I mentioned this before. They have the Miami Boat Show and the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. And when I say boat, I'm talking yachts and stuff. And there are certain areas where you go, they run your credit before you can get on the yacht. So imagine the shrinking of the unit when somebody tells you, I can't even let you on this boat, man. Why? You ain't got it. You should know that before you decide you want, hey, I want to go see what this boat looks like. Sure, fill out this form and we'll let you know if you're allowed to even get on the boat. We're not going to waste our time with you if you can't afford it. You got to qualify to even get in this club. It just happens to be a big-ass yacht, but you still have to qualify. And you see people look at it, and there's a big sign. No, you can't get on this boat until you pass a credit check that shows you even have a chance to buy this boat. So keep walking, take some pictures, take your selfie, do what you need to do, but you ain't getting on. You're not qualified, and that's not a bad thing. We all have been told for one reason or another, we are not good enough for something. Might have hurt your feelings, but didn't stop you from continuing to get better. Sorry, I digress. Let's go.
In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see. The numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Early the new year.
I had a buddy text me, and he's like, I'm ready to pull the trigger on a house. I'm seeing interest rates are coming down. Should I buy now? And I'm like, unless you're in a hurry that you have to do it, no, wait. And he was wondering why I said wait. I said, because Big Boss Trump is about to put his own guy in the Federal Reserve. And once he gets his guy in the Federal Reserve, he's going to push to get interest rates down to 1%. And you can do the math in terms of, I don't expect you're going to get a 1% mortgage because the bank's going to mark up the rate on you. But if they mark the rate up to 3% or 4%, it's better than buying now at 6 or 7%. So instead, spend the next couple months, as he just said, hey, you won't believe what's about to happen. You won't believe I'm going to have my own guy real quick. All right. When's that happening? Because right now, what I would be doing if I was looking to buy a home is bank. Go ahead and bank. You got 3 or 4 months before Jerome Powell is out of there. And when Jerome Powell is out of there, the interest rates are going to go down. So start banking for the next 3 or 4 months. Make your ability to afford more home more viable. So that by the time April comes along or so, you've got, I don't know, maybe $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 extra you can put down on a house. Conversely, if you got some smudges on your credit, you got 3 or 4 months to go get those fixed. See, if you plan ahead to buy a home and understand that you just can't walk in off the street and say, yeah, I'd like to buy this house. They're going to check your credit. They're going to check your income. They're going to check your job history. You got 3 or 4 months right now. I didn't say it to him that way, but I'm like, dude, get your stuff in order. And then come April or May, when most houses are going to go on the market, that's the prime selling time. You're going to be shopping while people want to shop. Not many people shopping for homes right now. It's Christmas. Even the house that Robin and I bought that we're putting on the market, we're waiting. Nope. Not going to put it and let it sit there. Not going to let people see the data. Hey, they've been sitting on this house for about 4 months, and they might take a deal. No, hell no. I'm not even putting it on the market until after the first of the year, because I know then people will become flush again and be ready to buy. I digressed again, didn't I? Oh, boy.
Year, and you will see this in the new year. I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history.
So if you know that's what he said last night, what did he just say? After the first of the year, you watch what I do, and I do some of the most progressive things in history in housing. Oh, okay. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to plan right now for what he plans on doing. This is what people should have heard last night, but the media doesn't want them to think about it. You don't have to jump into a home right now. Watch what he does.
Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year.
All right. So $11,000 to $20,000 a year. So that means sometime in early 2026, you're going to begin seeing an additional $1,000 a month extra that you didn't have today. So every pollster that's talking crap and saying this speech was bad, understand what he just said. Depending on your income, you may see anywhere between $1,000 and $1,800 per month more than what you're seeing right now. I'm pretty sure there's quite a few of you, if you were getting $1,500 a month extra, you'd be like, oh, hell yes. Oh, yeah, bring that. What could you do with an extra $1,500 a month? Start thinking. Well, just like I just told you, if you're saving up for a house, that could mean an extra $6,000, $7,000 that you could save. If you're there with your wife, that's an extra $12,000 to $14,000 that you don't have right now. You're about to see a windfall. He's telling you there's going to be a windfall. They know what they're doing, and the media doesn't want you to see it. Yes, he was motoring through this speech last night, and I'm like, slow down. And I realized what he was doing, but at the same time, I'm like, people may have missed all of this. They haven't done the math. Oh, 11,000 to 20,000 a year. Well, what's that mean? Well, it means $1,000 to like $1,500 or $1,800 a month extra that you don't have right now. And so right now, you should be hearing this and thinking for yourself, where am I going to be? What am I going to do if I'm getting an extra 15,000, 1,800, whatever that number is per month more? How is it going to affect your life? You see, one of the things they never talk about in terms of the economy is things are too expensive. I can't afford it. It's affordability. Well, what if you can afford more? Now, all of a sudden, that extra 2.5% for a steak, I just made an extra $1,500 this month. But I urge you not to be like that. I urge you and compel you, don't just see extra money and want to spend extra money. See extra money and plan what you're going to do with that extra money. See, the prudent person would like, if I'm going to make an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month, I'm going to pay off my car, going to pay off my credit cards, I'm going to buy some silver. And then if I get some more, I'm going to buy some gold. You start thinking like wealthy, you can become wealthy.
And next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time.
Oh, and just add that on as well. Add that on. And that's something that the media doesn't want to talk about. Why? Because the people they talk to ain't working. If you ain't working, you ain't getting a tax refund. So it doesn't mean anything to you. It's not fair. It's not fair. People are getting tax refunds. Yeah, because it's their money. The media doesn't want to talk about that. There will be no talk on any of these stations about people getting a bigger refund next year. Because most of the people they're talking to ain't working. It's horrible. Horrible.
This historic trend will continue. Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been...
My favorite word, tariffs. Until September or October of 2024, how many of you, be honest, had paid any attention to what the hell a tariff is? Have any of you remember anybody in your past talking about tariffs? Nope, probably not. And the least of those is the media. They're not talking about tariffs. They're mad that there are tariffs. They're mad that the president is getting money from other countries. It's not supposed to work that way. We're supposed to be sending the money to the other countries. The poor people's in Sudan. Well, yeah, I'm sorry about them, but how about us? Oh no, we're fine. You just need to be taxed more. Well, with the tariffs, we can reduce taxes. With the tariffs, we can do things. So he announces something last night. Many of you guys heard because you put it in the chat. He announced something, a very soft shot over the bow. And the media freaked out about it. Absolutely went ballistic. Listen, I think it's coming up.
Used successfully by other countries against us, but not anymore. Companies know that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers. They're building factories and plants at levels we haven't seen, AI, automobiles. We're doing what nobody thought was even possible, not even remotely possible. There has never, frankly, been anything like it. 1 year.
So if you hear that kind of statement, if somebody says to you, you've never seen anything like this, it's never happened here before, wouldn't that make you, if you're a normal person, go, why? I mean, it's that simple. Somebody tells you this has never happened before. Why? And what kind of special powers does this guy have? What did he do to make something happen that we've never seen before? Why are all these companies coming back? Why are all these companies opening plants and data centers and everything? Why? Tariffs. What the hell's a tariff? I never heard the word tariff. Is that something in the history books we used to think of? No, he's using things right now that have been on the books that our past presidents completely ignored because they were shipping money out. And so people who don't know have never heard this stuff before, like he said. It should make people question, what have I been taught? What have I been told? I've been living a lie. And that's what most people have been living.
Ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And that's said by every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months. Starting on day one, I took immediate action to stop the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country, a feat which
So they won't talk about that. They don't want anybody to know that he's turned off the spigot. And not only is he turned off the spigot, he's getting rid of the ones that are here. And so they're all, protesting and trying to inhibit all of this. And the media loves it. The Democrat politicians love it. The average person doesn't know what he just said. And it makes you also have that contrasting thought. If you've stopped all the illegal movement, then what was it before? I wasn't paying attention. Were people coming across the border? My news stations weren't showing it to me. I don't know what you're talking about. And so a prudent person today wakes up and says, I didn't know it was that bad. And it's funny because every single one of you, how can people not know this? How can people not understand that our border was overrun? Because if nobody told them or showed them, they wouldn't know. If they're watching, Harry Met Sally, or they're turning on the SpongeBob SquarePants and eating cream cakes, they don't know. And that's how they've gotten these people to react, because they can't believe we're throwing people out, but they're not questioning how'd they get here. You know this, and you sit back and say this makes no sense. Well, I want you to think of it from the perspective of a libtard who just goes around and doesn't know all this stuff is happening around them. And all they do is just put their hand out, give me, and expect people to give it to them. I want reparations. For what? You never bailed any damn cotton? And they've inbred these people with that. And that's why I bring up football so much. I bring up football so much because I don't think people who even are on the left understand what they're watching every Saturday and Sunday. Oh, you better win today, better. And they don't look around and go, things are so bad. How is there 70,000 people here? My team sucks. The Dolphins suck. And I guarantee you this Sunday when we go down there, it might be a little bit off, but there's probably still going to be 40 or 50,000 people there. How is it possible? Have some introspection. Look in the mirror. If everything is so bad, people can't make ends meet. Where'd they come from? Did these people get dropped into the stadium? Did somebody have like the Bewitched thing and twiddle their nose? Where did all these people come who are spending all this money on beer, merchandise, food, parking, and tickets? Where did they come from? And then you can do that times, what is this, 32 NFL teams. So 16 times this Saturday and Sunday, 16 times you are going to see that all over the place, especially for the teams that are still in the hunt. But people don't, it doesn't equate. They don't get it. And that's why we need to remind them.
Everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president.
Every single media outlet said Trump was blaming Biden. Every single one of those, even the ones I showed during the pre-show. Well, Trump, he blamed Biden. Well, if he did it, it's not blaming. It's true. You open the border, you let all these people in. True or false? True. I got to blame anybody. It's an absolute fact. Except if you don't know it, that's why you can say he's blaming him.
We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best. A major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed.
All right, stop there. Stop. Hold on, Prez. See, what he just said there is a mouthful. A, there was an invasion. Well, I didn't know it was an invasion. How many? I don't know, 15, 20 million. I don't know. Nobody knows. 2, your housing prices are up because all those people that came in had to live somewhere. Oh, I didn't know that either. 3, they're using your money. These people who were not supposed to be here, who they let in on purpose, have been getting fat and happy on your money. You have had to have been taxed more because they needed to take care of them from cradle to grave. We got to feed them. We got to put them in school. We got to give them their health insurance. They got everything. You go to work. Many people did know it. You take it for granted. You've been following this stuff. You're like, wait a minute, how do you not know this? Because nobody's telling you. And so he had the entirety of the media showing this entire speech. I don't know who clicked off when or what, but he's telling people who probably didn't hear this information. What do you mean I've been paying for it? You go to work, you're paying for it. You go to work, you're making sure that, I won't use any names, but these people, Mr. X, is being paid, being fed, being housed, being medicated because you are paying for it.
Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer.
Tell them. That's what they need to hear. Have you gone to the emergency room? Did you have to sit there for 3 hours while you're watching all these people come in? Now you know why. By the way, you're paying for them. Every single one of them. You're paying for them. And if you've never heard this before, it's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
You also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants.
That, to me, was the biggest stat that he said. That to me was the most compelling number, that when they start talking about unemployment and they start talking about job growth and they say the unemployment numbers are up, yeah, they're supposed to be up. The unemployment numbers, let me be the one to tell you, is supposed to be up. Why is that? Because we're getting rid of all the people who aren't supposed to be here. And number two, we got rid of a bunch of government employees. They don't tell you that, though. I challenge you, go on CNN, go on MSNBC, when they're talking about the unemployment rate, listen if they say, well, everybody that's basically not working is either a government employee or a newcomer. Nope, they're going to give you a stat. It's up to you to go, well, why is the unemployment rate 4%? What happened? As he just said, I replaced them with Americans. So the people, every single job we're creating is for America. They won't say that either.
Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens.
100%, I cut him off. 100% of new jobs have gone to Americans. How can you possibly, in God's green earth, how could you possibly have a problem that all new jobs are going to Americans? Well, because your religion tells you that's bad. Your religion tells you that Americans aren't supposed to have a priority. That's what these people are arguing about. And that's why they can't tell the truth, because if they told the truth, they're basically being blasphemous to their own religion.
100%. Another major focus is the cost of energy. For years, the radical left Democrats exploited the green energy scam as an excuse to funnel many billions of dollars into their own massive slush funds, as their energy restrictions drastically drove up prices, and they drove them up at record levels. Electricity costs surged 30 to 100% under Biden. And
all right, see, now this is something, again, people can go and they can open up their envelope and pull out their electricity bill, and yeah, it did go up. Yeah, I understand. So now you're going to do something to bring it down. These are kitchen table issues that people, when they're sitting with their wife or other loved one, and they're like, yeah, man, our electric, look, it happened with me. I looked at our water bill at one of the properties. I'm like, that's kind of odd. Why is that water so high? And if you're not paying attention to your bills, you realize something's not the right here. And so there's a button on our water service where you can ask for a rereading of the meter. And what happened was they had been estimating what the bill is going to be based upon who lived there before. The other people had like 6 kids. I'm like, no, you need to come out here and actually read this. Oh, we're sorry. Yeah, the numbers are, it's a lot less. Yeah, it's a lot less. There's only 2 of us. But you got to pay attention. And so a lot of people, especially if they're in rent-controlled properties or if the landlord's paying the electricity, they don't pay any attention to it. But now you got to bring it to people's attention.
Typical family lost $5,000 to $10,000 in higher energy costs. Think of that, $5,000 to $10,000 you lost. On day one, I declared a national energy emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country.
All right, so that statement right there, I didn't have time to get it, but they were saying Trump lied. Gas is not below $2.50, and he said there in many parts of the country. See, they didn't even want to admit that people in certain areas are paying less price, because then they couldn't charge all the taxes that they're charging on people in California and other blue states. But people who don't know, they don't see the pictures of, because the algorithm does what it does. People are paying $1.99 for gas. Yeah. And I'm paying $5 and $6. You're being scammed. You are absolutely being scammed.
Some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody. or certainly not very soon, prices on electricity and everything else will fall dramatically. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend in honor of our nation's founding in 1776. We are sending every soldier $1,776.
He didn't say we're sending every Republican. He didn't say we're sending every white soldier. He said every soldier, black, gay, Hispanic. You're all getting $1,700, let's just call it $1,800 because it's also tax-free. You're getting $1,800 check, and as he said, some of them have already gone out. You're getting $1,800. Now, I'm setting you up here for what's you're about to see. I'd like it in the chat for each, anybody that wants to tell me, would you like an $1,800 check? With an $1,800 check, make your Christmas better. Would an $1,800 check help you with your bills? What could you do with $1,800? This is an important thing. I want you to remember this as we go through the next 90 seconds, because you're not going to believe what the left said. It's disgusting.
Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody.
1776. As you know, our great nation was founded in the crucible of revolution in that year. Now, as we enter the Christmas season some 250 years later, we are proud to provide 1776 with a whole new modern meaning for our joint force. As he announced to the nation last night, thanks to President Trump's unwavering commitment to our warriors and the provisions provided in the One Big Beautiful Bill, more than 1.45 million service members will, in the coming days, receive a one-time tax-free bonus.
Okay, so I'm trying to set this up because you are not going to believe what you're going to hear. So 1.4 million soldiers are going to get a check for $1,800 tax-free. Here you go, $1,800. And I've looked in the chat here, and I see somebody goes, don't tax it. Nope, it's tax-free. I don't see anybody going, no, I don't want $1,800. $1,800 is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything to me. Said nobody ever. Well, wait for it.
$1,776. This has never happened before. Every member of our military, E1 to 06. We're calling it the Warrior Dividend, a direct investment in the brave men and women who carry on the legacy of our armed forces every single day. This Warrior Dividend serves as yet another example of how the War Department is working to improve the quality of life for our military personnel and their families. I can think of no better Americans to receive this check right before Christmas. Whether it's for pay, housing, faith support, all elements of what we're doing are to rebuild our military. So to the American warrior, President Trump and I and the entire War Department, we have your back. We thank you for your service. And we thank you for your sacrifice. We love you and your families, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Okay. So you've all answered the question. You all would love to see $1,800 come your way. Many of you are like, I could do so many different things. I could, it would be awesome. I would love to have it.
Well, and he can promote 1776 costs all he want and giving out a check. That worked for him the first time. 1776, that's less than a rent check in D.C. I don't even know what the impact of that is going to be. I want to bring.
If I didn't see that, if I didn't see that myself, I wouldn't believe it. I don't even know what $1,800 is. It's not going to have any impact. How detached from reality must you be? How much in the tank do you have to be as a libtard to go on television and tell people watching, as well as the people on the panel, $1,800, it's nothing. It won't even have any impact. It won't work. What do you mean it won't work? What's the objective? What do you mean it doesn't work? Everybody in the military, based on your classification, everybody, 1.4 million people are getting $1,800. What's there not to work? He didn't say he had to be conservative, didn't say he had to be white, didn't say there was no preclusion. You get $1,800, and these idiots are out there going, it's meaningless. $1,800? I don't need $1,800. I can't even buy my Jimmy Choo shoes. I can't buy me a pocketbook. It means nothing. How detached do you have to be to think people couldn't use $1,800? What kind of type of liberal scumbag do you have to be to look down on somebody who might need $1,800? When I saw that piece, when I saw that clip, I realized right then it was a religion. That's why I told you earlier about this being a religion to them, is you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to have prosperity. Even if it's just $1,800, it means nothing. What kind of people are these people? What kind of people are liberals who would look down their nose at some soldier without knowing anything about their individual life, without knowing anything about their financial predicament, without knowing whether or not that person enlisted because they needed the money just to have a job? I'll be a soldier. And you go on television after President Trump announces he's given this money and telling everybody it don't mean anything. And I was stunned. I realized at that point the religion is Trump can't do anything right. You MAGA, you can't do anything right. If someone's going to look at you and say $1,800 means nothing, what they're saying is you don't deserve it. Just period. Has no impact. It means nothing. Then why were you giving that much money to the illegals? What did it mean something to them? Because that's what they're saying. You don't deserve it. It should be going someplace else. Why would we be paying soldiers? Oh, it's disgusting. Excuse me. That to me just explained it all. You know, I've got like 5 minutes left in this thing, but I was, wow. That's what they think of you. That's what they think of people in America. That's what they think of our soldiers who protect them, that allows them to say the crap they say on television, that it means nothing. It's a religion. Their religion isn't to hate Trump. Their religion is to hate all things America. Their religion is this country should not survive. Incredible.
Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22% and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast.
So, meeting fact with fact.
And I saw this post. It says, new data shows prices for everyday goods and services are lower compared to when President Trump took office. Eggs are down 25%, airfare 9%, public transportation down almost 7%, propane, hotels, ship fare, gas, energy commodities, and on and on and on, car rentals, dairy, everything is down. And when you look for these sources, they're readily available, but they tell people he's lying. And for some reason, these liberals believe them instead of, do you go to the grocery store? Do you have a debit card or a credit card where you can like pull up what you purchased back in October of last year? Are you on Instacart where you can pull up your order history and compare what things are? Or is it just, you just have to lie? That might be it.
Democrat politicians also sent the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too. The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down 33% compared to the Biden last year. The price of eggs is down 82% since March, and everything else is falling rapidly. And it's not done yet, but boy, are we making progress. Nobody can believe what's going on. Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway. You will see in your...
It's hard to tell how much things are changing, but you can kind of get a good glimpse of what's happening based upon their reaction. They're losing it. They're losing their entire grip. And for President Trump at that health meeting to actually come out and say, the premiums are subsidies. We're not going to pay for it anymore. We're going to find a different way. Why is it? You ever notice, like we talked about the 1800, why is it that when he keeps saying it, my objective is to give the money to the people, there's no retort. There's no response. Why wouldn't you want it to go to the people instead of the insurance companies? Why is nobody in the media going, well, what happens if you give it to the people? How much do they get? I mean, how is it going to be a plot? No, not even a question. What about we give the money to the people instead of the insurance company? Don't even want to talk about it. These are all the things I notice when he talks and when they ask him questions, and they don't want to ask the questions a normal person would want to answer.
I'm also taking on the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should go directly to the people. The money should go to the people. That's you. So they can buy their own health insurance, which will give far better benefits at much lower cost. It will be.
So if he's saying that so emphatically, why are they not asking that question or even talking about it? Why can't it go to the people? This is something you can ask people. Why am I paying so much to an insurance company? Because you've artificially inflated the rates instead of me being able to choose the plan I want to choose. Remember? And this is what the problem is. Remember what Obama was saying. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. And it was all BS. And so he's saying, why not give it to the people? Let them pick their own doctors and plans. Why do they have to go through an exchange? What is the exchange? Who created the exchange? What companies are in the exchange? How do you qualify to be on the exchange? Media doesn't want to talk about that. Nope.
Far better health insurance. The current Unaffordable Care Act was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost. And you see that now in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care at a much lower price.
So somebody needs to explain to me and you why that's problematic. Why is it a problem for me to make my own choice? For me to look at something and go, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, what do you got? Oh, yours, same thing? Yeah. For how much? Much less? I'm going to pick option B. Why do they not want you to have that choice? Well, it's pretty simple. It's money. It's money being tossed around behind the scenes to politicians, to the media, and it's their religion. The religion is not to help others. Those of us who are Christians, we're told we need to help those who are less fortunate. The Democrats and libtards don't believe that. We're supposed to help people in other countries and the extremely poor here, and you need to be bent over backwards to make sure their religion is fulfilled. Not anymore. And that's why they hate Trump. That's why they hate you.
The only losers will be insurance companies that have gotten rich, and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies. They will not be happy, but that's okay with me, because you, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost. I was elected in a landslide, winning the popular vote and all 7 swing states and everything else, with a mandate to take on a sick and corrupt system that really just took the wealth from people and crushed the dreams of the American people.
And when I heard that, I almost felt like he was reminding us. He was elected with a mandate. And that mandate was to do exactly what he's doing. And if his mandate was to do exactly what he's doing, then the only problem people must be having is, oh, I'm not going to vote for Trump, is that they had their own time clock. And how I look at what President Trump has done is I believe he sat down with his people and all they did was put together the plan as to how they were going to make this stuff happen. X to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to 9 months. Remember, and this is very important, unlike politicians, this is a businessman. And those of you who have opened businesses understand the first thing you do when you open a business, hopefully, is to have a business plan, an actual plan that you are going to do. And as long as you're hitting those benchmarks, the plan is going to continue to be executed. Not if you want to go faster, not if you're expecting more arrests from Pam Bondi. Here's my plan, and here's what we're going to do to get to where I want to get to. If you leave your house and you go down a trip, you got some sort of map or directions as to where you're going to go. And unless there's an accident or something that diverts you, you're going home to grandma's house. This is the way to go. I've been there. I know the way to grandma's house. It doesn't tell me to go to Chattanooga and then come back through Detroit. It says go up I-95 to grandma's house. So there's nothing that should deter you from getting to grandma's house. There may be relatives who call you and say, how long has it been? You're still, where are you? You're only in Georgia? You still got to go through South Carolina and North Carolina? Yep, I'm getting there. Well, you were supposed to be here 6 hours ago. Well, we didn't drive that fast, but we're coming. And what I'm trying to tell people right now is Trump's coming. Keep the food on the stove warm. I'm coming. I'm going to get there. But too many people right now, for whatever reason, and they call me a homer, oh, you'll just say anything about Trump, I've watched what he did. I've showed you his 20-step plan for America. I showed it to you. I've showed it many times. And I'm like, check, 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 check. And if you haven't seen it, maybe I need to show it again. But everything he said he was going to do as a part of that plan, just about every single one of them has been checked off. So where did these people get all this other stuff? Can't say it was from him because he posted his plan. So if you voted for him based upon what he told you his plan was going to be, then what is everybody bitching about? That's the part I don't get.
For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America. They just released a level of violent felons that we had never seen to prey on innocent. They caused war.
I want to stop there. You know how the left and the media always basically the same thing. They always talk about the January 6th pardons. They keep bringing up the January 6th pardons. These people who went into the Capitol on January 6th, these 15 or 1,600 people that Trump pardoned, they stained their diapers over that. What about these 11 million people, 15 million people, 20 million people? Those aren't criminals. Our religion says those people aren't criminals. Our religion says 1,600 people who walked through the Capitol and put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, those are criminals. What about these people, these mother-raping, child-raping nuts? No, they're good. That's all good. They're ministers in our religion. That's who we want. The contrast, it just drives me crazy. I'm like, you're mad about 1,600 people who ran around the Capitol acting a fool getting pardoned. They didn't shoot anybody. Didn't do anything like that. But oh my God, we should never let them out of the jail. Tina Peters should die in jail. But the Maryland man became a savior. The Maryland man was on television as much as they could. The Maryland man who beat his wife and trafficked and everything, that's who they believe in. George Floyd, St. George Floyd. When you leave here today, I'm trying to show you this is religious to these people because they don't just hate Trump, they hate America. Those 1,600 people that stormed the Capitol and walked around and traipsed around and were looking around and taking pictures. No, we can't have that. We got to have the Maryland man. The Maryland man. I'm going to fly to, where was it? Ecuador, Guatemala. I'm going to fly down there and have drinks and lunch with the Maryland man. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong. I don't see anybody flying into Colorado and having, lunch with Tina Peters. But the Maryland man, we need to go, got to sit down with him. We got to do everything we can. We got to go to all the different ICE centers and stand outside and do all this and let all these people out. We got to protest everything every single day that we can and let all these people out and let people know we can't treat people this way. But did the words Tina Peters mean anything to you? No? Mm-mm. You starting to let this stuff sink in, you realize it's not Trump that they hate. He said a long time ago, it's not me, I'm just in the way. If he's not there, a lot of the panicants who are talking crap about Trump ain't gonna have to worry about it. They'll be done. If he's not in their way, they're not gonna let you stay and do all the things. You wanna talk about Bongino? You wanna talk about the FBI? You wanna do all this you're done. There is no bus behind Trump. If he doesn't get it done, nothing is going to help us. If he doesn't get it done and they cheat in 2026, they take over in 2028, they elected Kamala. What the hell are people thinking? Whatever piddling money you're making on Twitter or X right now is not going to save you. And their choices, I'm seeing some real prominent people. And I'm like, what are you thinking? How can you get off the Trump train? What's your alternative? Your own train? You think you can drive a caboose? You're going to start being, Mighty Casey? What the hell are you thinking? This is it. This is the fight for the survival of America. And you people are out on X just trashing everybody who wants something from Trump.
They caused mayhem. They caused a horrible situation all over the globe. But now You have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country, the ones who make this nation run, who make this nation work.
But he's wrong. That's why they're having a problem. Immigrants make this nation work, not hardworking Americans. No, not MAGA, not people who actually work for a living. They don't make America. No, not whatsoever. It's the Somalians. They made America. You silly white people, you silly Americans, you don't get it. It's not about you, it's about these Somalians. Before we go, I'm going to show you something to prove that.
And after just 1 year, we have achieved more than anyone could have imagined. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before.
Respected? No, that's not what they built. Remember when Obama went to visit, was it Saudi Arabia? He bowed. He bowed. One of our presidents bowed to another world leader. Did you forget that? The fact that he bowed, I will never forget that. I will never forget that an American president bowed to another world leader. Don't care who it was. He bowed. We are not going to bow. We are not going to kneel. If you're going to come for us, we're going to give you something back. And I'm just over the fact of people not understanding that this fight is no longer about Democrat and Republican, that these people want to take away your way of life, and they've got too many accomplices in the media and everywhere else. It's insane, absolutely insane.
In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again.
And that's how it should be. Let me see if I can show you this. I don't think I have it here, but about the Somalians. But in any event, you see what President Trump's trying to do, and the media can't take it. Here, let me close with this piece here. This piece here is pretty interesting.
President Trump from the diplomatic room at the White House there, marking 11 months into his administration, talking about what he believes in these first 11 months are successes, securing the border, talking about the ongoing ICE operations, the deportations in this country, talking about the affordability issue in this country, laying the blame on the previous administration, now a year into his administration, talked about
the very subtle digs that they do, and they're so good at it. As he's talking about this, he's talking about that, and he blamed Biden a year into his administration. It just slides it in, it just flows like snakes off of their tongues. And it's meant to influence people.
Tariffs, he said, tariffs, my favorite word. He announced tonight that more than 1 million and 1.4 million military service members will be given dividends from the tariffs, a check for $1,776 for each one of these military service members. He said those checks are on the way. When he talked about health care insurance premiums, a lot of attention on this right now because of the Affordable Care Act, Congress ready to go home for the holidays. It appears, without doing anything to extend subsidies, which means for at least 20 million Americans, their health insurance premiums are set to skyrocket after the first of the year.
Okay, so you're lying again. 20 million Americans? I don't think so. And no, your premiums aren't going to skyrocket. You are going to not have the subsidies. I mean, to some people, that's the same thing, but it's not. It's completely different.
He said this is the Democrats' fault. These premiums are going up, despite the fact that a lot of this rests on Congress's shoulders and certainly questions for the president going into the election, saying he had the contours of a plan, in essence, a health insurance plan. He did talk tonight about returning the money to the people when it comes to health insurance. But I'll get to Mary Bruce, our chief White House correspondent, for more on this. If there's any kind of proposal that's been issued by the White House to explain what this means, because in the meantime, for millions, premiums are going up. He also talked about prices in this country. You know, any president and presidents before him have dealt with affordability. President Biden did. Prices were high under the Biden administration and some of the previous administrations as well. And you can make the case that prices are going down, but people look at the prices at the grocery store on certain items and they know what they're paying for them. So it becomes
What did that mean? What, you can make the case that prices are coming down, but on certain items they're still expensive. You mean like lobster? What do you mean certain items are still expensive? Maybe don't buy those items if you can't afford them. Oh, prices are coming down, but on certain items they're still expensive. Caviar? What are these certain items that you just kind of slid in there? Oh, yeah, certain items that have, but listen to what this idiot says.
A bit of a challenge for really any administration when it comes to affordability.
It certainly does, David, and the president just there said that prices are coming down and fast, but the latest government data actually shows that consumer prices are up 3% compared to a year ago, and that trend isn't going in the right direction. That same data showing that prices have been ticking up for the past 5 months. Now, the president is right. Gas prices are down, but Americans are paying more for groceries. They are feeling...
Okay, watch this. Watch how she's trying to justify what she just said about things being more expensive. You won't believe this.
When they go to the grocery store, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the prices of groceries is up from a year ago, including on products impacted by Trump tariffs. Coffee up 41%, sirloin steak up 20%, frozen
sirloin steak. That's where she just went. Sirloin steak is more expensive. I have an idea, just a small idea. If you can't afford sirloin steak, get some ground beef. These people, it's insane. She's talking about sirloin steak. If you're on SNAP, stay away from the sirloin steak. Wow.
Orange juice up 12%. Utilities also up. The cost of housing. The typical household, David, is now spending $208 extra per month compared to the same time last year because of inflation. That's a
liar. Here's how I can tell you're a liar. You ready for this? Having been in real estate or being in real estate, she said the same time last year it's $200 a month more. So it's December of 2025. Meaning if you signed a lease in December of 2024, how in the hell did your payment go up $200 a month? They don't expect people to have these kind of, excuse me, ma'am. Yeah. Today's December 18th. Yeah. So on December 18th last year, since it's the same time, you're saying that somebody signed a lease on December 18th of 2024, and somehow the lease morphed and you're paying $200 more per month. Can you explain to me how that happens? I don't know. Pretty much a lease is a contract. And the contract would say, you pay me on the first of the month, every month, pay me $600. That's what the rent is. It doesn't say, once Trump gets in office, you're going to have to pay me an extra $200. Nope. She's lying. Gotcha. Gotcha.
According to Moody's Analytics. And look, the president is trying to paint a rosy picture here. He is pitching the fact that his policies are working, but he also knows that Americans simply are not feeling that. And that is the huge challenge for
that was me. I don't know what happened there. Why I'm all kind of shrunk in the thing. All right, I'll go back to this look. I wanted to show, I'll do it this way. Give me this. All right. I want you to look at this woman who obviously has a hairdresser on speed dial. She has earrings, a very nice coat, a scarf. She's put together well, but she's telling you can't afford sirloin steak. You would think if you're going to talk this kind of crap, you wouldn't look like you're making $300,000 a year. Send out the Smurfy looking, haggard looking woman, the one who can relate to the people. You don't relate. Everybody knows when you turn off the camera and you turn around, you're taking the limo over to some restaurant. But you're telling people, people aren't living well. Not at all.
Administration and Republicans heading into the midterms, David.
Making the case, of course, stay the course. He believes his policies are working, and you heard him talk about the year ahead, talking about what's coming to America when it comes to the Olympics and other events that he says he helped bring to America. And
he says he helped bring to America. It's so subtle. If you're not listening, it's so subtle. He says, well, I'm pretty sure we saw the World Cup meeting. We saw the World Cup give him the Peace Prize. We saw him get invited to pick the teams. He didn't have to say it. We saw it from the horse's mouth. The guy said, if it wasn't for President Trump here, we wouldn't be doing a World Cup in America. Trump just happened to talk to the guy. Want to do it here? Yeah, let's do it there. You lied.
That an economic boom is on the way, part of his message heading into the holiday here and the new year. Our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, on the president tonight. Mary, thanks so much.
Did you notice anything about that? David Muir has been in news for quite some time. And the thing that struck me was he did that report like this. And this is what I'm supposed to read here. And Trump did this, and this is what. Dude, you're a professional. Why aren't you looking at the camera? See, I notice those kind of crazy things because I'm on a camera. And I noticed because, he makes millions on ABC. But why, during that report, was he looking down and reading off the page? He didn't even try to look down and look back up. He kept his head down. I better not forget that line. They want me to say this. Oh, I got to say that one right here, too. They give themselves away if you listen, and they give themselves away if you pay attention. They can't help it. So anyway, that's where I got today. I have probably another hour and a half of information to talk to you about, but I didn't expect President Trump to come on today because he wasn't supposed to, but we do know he's coming on tonight. So I have a quick turnaround. It's 4:00 now. President Trump's supposed to come on at 6. What I'll do is I've got all kinds of economic stuff I want to talk to you about. So I'm going to go live right at about 5:45. I got about an hour and a half to go ahead and get everything ready. And then I'm going to go live so he can talk about I'm sure they're going to have tons of questions as he's signing, the Defense Act for $900 billion. So I'm sure he's going to be talking about that. I'm sure they'll have plenty of questions. So we'll cover that. So I'll go live at 5:45 and then we'll cover his signing, and then I'll get into the economic data tonight. Tomorrow, huge day, absolutely huge day. I can tell you about it tomorrow. Tomorrow he's going to be going to Rocky Mount, North Carolina for a rally. It's rally day, people. It's rally day. If you haven't seen one of the rallies before, you're going to love it. Tomorrow's supposed to be a big rally. From what I understand, the doors open at 6. And there's a 3-hour program with President Trump coming on at 9 p.m. So it's going to be a late night. So tomorrow being Friday, I usually only do one show. I may do an early show just based on some clips and then just lead into the rally at 6, but 5:45 my time. But we got a rally tomorrow. Rally around the family, all right, with a pocket full of shells. If you guys know where that song came from, I'd be amazed if you guys know where that song came from. Rally around the family with a pocket full of shells. It was a band I really liked until they turned absolutely bat poop crazy as well. Some of you guys might recognize that. Rally around the family with a pocket full of shells. Used to love that song. Used to absolutely love that band. But you know, things happen, and we can't go there. Oops, I got to make that a lot smaller so we can do this. Hold 1 second. Here we go. Shrink it down, move it over. There we go. All right. Excuse me. What the Trumpster needs to do, this is from Rini. What the Trumpster needs to do is to exchange the word I to we include the rest of the country into the accomplishments. Okay, I could go with that. Jennifer, I think a lot of people opened their eyes when they did the gag order. Yep, I remember that. Telling the president of the United States he could not talk. By the way, I'm looking up here, and it says the police have identified the shooter, Brown University. They're gonna hopefully name some names here a second. What's this? Chio, the Democrats and the health insurance companies are trying to force President Trump into a corner to give these subsidies. Not happening. I hope they don't. Nathan Hardcastle, what do you think about the housing crisis? I don't believe there is a housing crisis. You know, I live here, so I can't. It's Florida. Also, this subject is related to the parcel I hopefully sent to your correct address. The parcel is about Heroes Haven, a housing development. I would like to get your opinion. Okay, I will check that out. Let's see, his email. Can you explain Dr. Oz's input regarding subsidies? Actually, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I had another segment, like an hour's worth of health stuff I was going to get into because of the MAHA stuff today, but I will definitely get that for you as well. Midwest, I'm in chronic pain. I understand how CBD works. You're right. It's debilitating. Sometimes I can barely function. Yeah. I don't walk in your shoes, but I tell you, if people look down on people who are taking, you'll take anything. Please make me feel better. And if it works for you, go for it. Talk to your doctor, but then, give it a shot. Ed, if they have TDS, give them CBD. No, they need something a little bit harder. Linnell, I am an 8-year cancer survivor, and during my treatments, I took gummies. They helped a lot. It prevented me from having to take so much of the morphine. 2 things. God bless you. And number 2, that's the kind of person you can't thumb your nose up. If it helps people with pain, it's definitely worth it. Nikki, notice the media buzzword is new home. Not everyone wants to buy a new construction. There are plenty of existing homes that cost far less because they can't. I mean, anybody can look on Zillow. It was funny. I saw something where somebody had shown. I even show sometimes. Hey, here's cheap homes. Well, relatively, everything is relative, but here's a property that most people could probably afford. But it doesn't get over the other hump. Do you have a job? You have a 24-month work history? Do you have a down payment? And do you have good credit? Nobody addresses that. None of the influencers out there who keep talking about it ever talk about that part. There are different steps you have to have. It doesn't matter if I had a house that doesn't exist down here, but if I said there's a house for $100,000, you can want to buy this house for $100,000. It's gorgeous. You got a job? Does it make enough that you can make the mortgage payments? You have reserves? Because remember, you're not renting anymore. You are the owner. You got to have enough money to fix it up. All these different things, the credit, they don't ever talk about it. I think it does people a huge, huge disservice as well by not talking about that. Regina, thank you. Wizard of Ozarks. I had 2 heart attacks and was given 2 years to live in 1989. Well, you've done it. Cannabis has been the only medicine that helped and the reason I'm still alive today. It is made by God, not Big Pharma. They can't control it. Yeah, that's another thing. That is definitely another reason. And congratulations. Amseti, thank you so much, Barry, for everything you bring us. You keep us straight. God bless you and your family. Thank you, and God bless you as well. Bob Davison, hey, Barry, thanks for educating me about precious metals. I bought 50 ounces of silver in the past 2 weeks. I plan on buying more next year. Awesome. Enjoy that. Prosperity. Moon Shadow, I'm 74. I won't buy long term. Where to put my money? I can't tell you where to put your money because I don't know your situation, but I can tell you that silver is still doing very well, but it's a hedge. Meaning, I don't look at silver and gold as speculative, hoping that they're going to go up. I use that for protection. But there are many other things if you are looking to speculate. Depends on your situation. Cutting edge. I'm not W, but I remember there were reports about the decline of the W race. Women, and they talk. White race, about as if they want it to happen. What they wish is pure evil. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Chio Stop, Kristen Welker had said strollers are still expensive. Because you buy strollers at least 4 times a week. Strollers are still expensive. Oh my God. Talk about reaching. I bet you can go to Goodwill and find a stroller. I'm just saying. VJ Class, please ask a liberal what part of Project 2025 we're in. Good point. Wait a minute, I scrolled too far. Leger, thanks for all you do, Barry, Robin, mods in chat room. Thank you very much. Nikki says, just check my grocery app. Ribeye $7.50 on sale, usually $9.50. 8 ounce 15. Sirloin $14.99. Grass-fed ribeye $16.99. She was probably doing that report from Washington, D.C. They never say. She could have said, listen, grocery prices are still too high. I was in Washington, D.C. today, and here's the prices I found. Well, I don't give a shit what you're paying in Washington, D.C., because I don't live in Washington, D.C. I pity you if you live in Washington, D.C. And nobody cares what you're paying in Washington, D.C. But they never say that. They never give that quick qualifier because it's so simple. It's like, where did you go look? It's all relatively local. There is no national price for steak. There's no national price for pears. Jerome, let's look at stats and designate between blue and red states and bet what slow President Trump economy is on fire. I had a lot of people who lived in some blue states who looked at gas prices and understand now how much your states are tacking on to the actual price of gas. Let's see here. Carno. FBI just raided a Somali health clinic responsible for millions of dollars of fraud of Medicaid. I do have that story tonight as well. Nick, yep, you got it. Rage Against the Machine. They used, back in the day when I was, into my rock music, they were Rage Against the Machine. Now they've become Rage with the Machine. I'll tell you about them in a second. Nikki says I took CBD when I broke my foot a few years ago. I found out it helped bones heal faster. I went from taking a max of Tylenol to just CBD. My doctor started selling it after that. Exactly. Oh yeah, let me close by this. Rage Against the Machine. What in the hell is that? Oh, emergency alert going on. Oh, sorry, I got nothing to do with that. But anyway, Rage Against the Machine used to have a song that it says in the lyrics, F you, I won't do what you told me. And they would say it like 20 times in the song, F you, I won't do what you told me. And then people started realizing, it's F you, I will do what you told me. They completely changed from a very hard rock band that was so anti-establishment to all of a sudden they're Rage with the Machine. It was awful, absolutely awful. All right, so that's it. I'm going to go home and get ready for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna do like half the after party because I got to get out of here and go get something to eat and everything else. So let's look at doing. Yeah, we'll do like half the after party and we'll move from there. 1 second, where are we? And then hold on, click the button. Yeah, we'll do a 15-minute instead of a 30-minute. See you guys tonight.
to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. I ask thee to stay close by me.